I've been buying rings like I'm Kobe.
I be in and out of arenas like I'm Scottie Pippen.
Left my elbow in the pot, a la Vince Carter.
Bitch, you weren't with me shooting in the gym?
James Harden with the range, jumpy nigga way back.
Coach, they won't knock me off my pivot. Get it.
Niggas underrate me like Jalen Brunson, but yo, I'm leaving with something.
Been flowing stupid since Vince Carter was on some through the legs arm and a hoop shit. Fresh Prince jacket, boy, I cook them to the inside out.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, now you do.
Yes, sir. We are back. Round of applause for yourselves. This is your guy, Marcellus Ease. And of course, we got some very interesting stuff on the docket for today. Finally, things are coming full circle as Damian Lillard spoke on LaMarcus Aldridge's exit from the Portland Trail Blazers. And we're going to get the full scope on this because there was a cultural clash as LaMarcus Aldridge also gave his side to the story. And speaking of clashes, Trae Young and Pat Bev, their little social media squabble, really kind of exposed the two different types of NBA fan bases. Guys who love to judge players off of individual accolades and scoring versus the other side of the coin where fan bases love teams that win and produce great results, whether it be deep playoff pushes in April and May or even making the finals in June. But Pat Bev brought out the Chi-Town in him as he asked a lot of questions when it comes to Trae Young, including why are so many coaches, players, and even the absence of a team president. And unfortunately, Trae Young has only been the consistent thing that has been in Atlanta. So is he the mole? And last but not least, we're going to touch base on this NBA gambling issue as Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, and the feds had admitted the Cosa Nostra is involved. But we'll get into some of the nuances that's happening with that situation as we're going to go through layer by layer, including hearing from Adam Silver as he tried to jump the gun a few days before, talking to Pat McAfee, all the way to Tim Donahue, former disgraced NBA referee, kind of giving great insight of how the league actually hid his situation under the rug. And in today's social media landscape, they really can't quite do the same. Hell, we'll even get to hear from a former high-ranking mob member of how they wheel certain NBA or certain professional athletes into a gambling rabbit hole when they owe a lot of money. So upon Damian Lillard making his return to Portland after a brief moment in Milwaukee, he touched on the fallout of LaMarcus Aldridge and the Portland Trail Blazers as he had high hopes for the duo to continue making their run. This is one of the beauties of today's media landscape, especially among the players, as it allows us for the first time to get a good full scope on some of the inner nuances that happen internally. As we flow through this segment, we'll learn that the Portland Trail Blazers didn't necessarily have a good culture around the organization for fostering a healthy community among the players, especially regarding them trusting the organization. In my previous segments, we've heard Greg Oden speak on this with all the demons he was battling, fighting through rehab, and also the organization isolating him from pretty much all his teammates. But getting back to it, LaMarcus Aldridge, just keep in mind, ever since he was drafted in 2006 with the second overall pick, the Blazers didn't necessarily have all the confidence in him as he sat behind Zach Randolph for a brief moment. And in that same draft class with the number 6 pick, Brandon Roy went off and the franchise definitely put more faith in him. So things like that always left a sour taste with LaMarcus Aldridge. And the only time he felt valued was when Greg Oden was going through his injury woes and B. Roy's career was pretty much cooked. Again, before we get to hear from Dame on his version of their fallout and the organization kind of implementing a fake beef between the two, which really never existed, we're going to first hear from LaMarcus Aldridge as he gives us great insight here to even the GM not making him feel as valued once he came into the organization. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
I get there and I remember hearing that one of the GMs is like, well, he's a project. Like, we think he can be this, but we're not sure. I'm like, damn, a project at number 2? That's kind of fucked up. Like, you got to believe in me at number 2. So I was like, all right, bet. So I get there, and I'm like, day one, they were like, B. Roy's our guy. He's going to play. We're going to give him touches. Like, summer league's all about him, all about him. So I was like, fuck, I ain't really got a chance to really try to shine because, like, they want him. And Grant.
Now, that's interesting. He said summer league was all about him. Remember, that draft, LaMarcus Aldridge was the number 2 pick. B. Roy was the number 6 pick. So instantly, you see where their priorities lay. LaMarcus Aldridge never felt appreciated in Portland. Just keep this in mind when we hear Dame's side of the story.
Motherfucker was cold. Like, I ain't taking shit from him. He was cold. So that I really didn't have an opportunity to really like try to shine or whatever. But I do give credit to Zebo. That nigga whooped my ass in practice so much that I learned how to get more physical. I learned how to use my body. I learned so much from him in practice because his thing was like, this motherfucker's trying to take my spot.
Straight up.
So it's like every practice, I'm on your ass, boy. So it was like,
and this is back when the stars were practicing. It
practicing,
was real 2-hour practice.
Yeah, it wasn't no
getting it in.
Yeah, like you come in that bitch, you about to get it in. So it was like practices was like battles with him, and I feel like I grew so much from playing against him in practice because he was like on my ass, and I started to get better and better. So it wasn't really much opportunity at first, and I remember I played one game with Zebo, and I killed. Like my first game was against Dallas, which was kind of cool for me because I'm from Dallas, and I played good and shit. And I remember we had Ray for the Friends. He had just signed a 60. So then Nate pulled me in the office, and he was like, "Hey man, I know you played good or whatever, but we got Ray for the Friends making $60 million, so we got to play him over you." I'm like, what's the goal here, to win or just to play motherfuckers because they got money?
Or was that?
Once again, you can see where the priorities lay and why LaMarcus Aldridge really never felt appreciated in Portland. Hey, they do the number 2 draft pick so dirty.
Not just pick number 2.
Yeah, so then I was back even more. So then we got Rafe playing, and he on the bench saying like, I'm over this shit. So Rafe really don't want to play. I want to play. So then I'm like, fuck it. So long story short, we get to the end of the season. I had been playing off and on, and Zebo, he had broke his wrist or his wrist, like some shit like the last 30 games. So then they were like, hey, Zebo's out, so you're going to start now. And I fucking balled the rest of the season. I think I averaged like 18 and like 8 or whatever for the rest of the season. So that summer they called me, and it was Nate. He was like, do you want to be my starting power forward next year? I was like, hell yeah, I want to start next year.
Tell me this. When it was time for you to leave Portland, did sometimes when you seen how Dame and CJ played, because I always just felt like you was just a missing piece that they let go.
Did
you feel, no disrespect to San Antonio, but sometimes did you feel like, damn, I wish I probably would have stayed and kind of waited for them guys to develop a little bit if they was going to get to that point? Or do you feel like they probably wouldn't have got to that point if you wouldn't have left?
For me, like, obviously I was like, every now and then I was like, damn, if I was still there, it'd be dope to be rocking with them too. And like, now they're mature and they're at this level where we all can kind of dominate together. But my point of view is, I think I would have stifled the growth a little bit because I was so ball dominant when I was there. Obviously, me and like Dame and I played well together, and he got to get off. But I don't know, like CJ would get off, he would come in off the bench, and then he would get to his bag. So I don't know if it would have ever got to the peak together with CJ being as good as he is now. But of course I did be like, dang, if I was still there and they had me on the inside and they doing their thing on the outside, like, man, I think, you know what I'm saying, I make a crazy run. But I also feel they all grew once I left because they had some growing pains. You know what I'm saying? Like when you get when you get those growing pains, that's how you get better and better. So I feel like by me leaving, it opened up even more room, opened up more room for them to grow.
Yeah, CJ definitely would have never got the same opportunity. And sometimes if they want to compete on a high level, CJ definitely would have had to been the third best player. And actually that bench role would have probably suited him the best. That's on a championship level team. Like him coming off the bench would be deadly. But him just starting alongside Dame and LaMarcus Aldridge, there's just not enough shots to go around.
Well, one of the reasons I chose to go to San Antonio because everything that I heard was like family, family, family. And anyone who know me, I'm more of an introverted family, like close, like small group type guy. So that intrigued me to be around people that were like-minded of, you don't have to go do this, this, and this, like just focus on basketball. And so for me, it felt like home right away because Pop gave you
Texas.
Yeah, I went home for one, but then like personality wise, it was a perfect fit of like, when you're on a younger team and like you're in a small market that hasn't won rings like they have. So then in Portland, we had to do a lot of extra stuff to make sure to keep the fans engaged, the country engaged. And I'm not really the do extra media type guy. I was more of the like locked in on like, I want to be in the gym, I want to watch film, I want to take care of my body. So with me, Portland, I always felt like it was like pulling teeth to get me to do extra media, which it was, because like I felt like if I go hoop on the court, that should take care of everything else. So I went to San Antonio, and that's exactly how they carried themselves. It's like, we don't have to do all the extra media as long as we go take care of stuff on the court and go win. So it was like we had to do the recommended media, but it was nothing extra. So I was able to focus on like my, a recovery and like get more rest and not feel like I was like getting pulled to do this, that, and this. So for me, the organization was, as everyone knows, it's top notch. Take care of the family. Like your kids can fly on road trips. Like they just make sure that you feel like it's a family and that everyone is taken care of. So I love that.
So right there, you see Dame is a perfect fit for the Blazers with his off the court kind of media persona with rapping, being from the Bay Area, just overall Northwestern region. Dame kind of has it on lock. He's like the perfect spokesman for the Blazers, and that organization, them not necessarily going after top-notch free agents, they don't even make an attempt to do it. And you see why they have to compensate and have other guys have to do extra media to keep fans engaged. But again, LaMarcus Aldridge talking about the family atmosphere, kids being able to fly on the plane. He's talking about the Blazers culture. Like there's a more of a community aspect to it when it comes to the Spurs.
I went from an organization that was trying to figure out how to have that and hadn't figured it out. I went to an organization that figured that shit out to a T, and they gave it to me. They were like, we understand you have kids and you have family. Like, Portland never offered my kids to come on the plane. He was like, whenever your kids want to get on the plane, just bring them on the plane, man. Like, so he understood me and what they did, and like that's what I wanted. So my kids were on the plane, going on road trips and stuff.
It means a lot. The little shit like
does,
that means
bro.
So much, bro.
Yeah, because when you going all the time, you can take your kids on the plane. Like that shit helps, because they can experience it, and they going back to school. Like I was on the Spurs play,
Tim Duncan, and then don't even say shit about you. But
I don't even matter no more.
It's crazy, right? Yeah.
Pop might be one of the first coaches that started that too.
So right there, we get a nice picture of the perspective LaMarcus Aldridge had of the Portland Trail Blazers. They didn't necessarily have too much confidence in him as soon as he came to the organization. He had to fight for his spot. And he stated he really only felt valued after Greg Oden went through his injury scare and B. Roy's career was pretty much done. Now we're going to get Dame Dolla's side of the story. And ironically, he paints a different picture, as the Blazers organization thought there was a rift between him and LaMarcus Aldridge, or was it really manufactured? You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
So like when Earl retired and Mo is gone now, I'm like, man, like I really felt like I was growing with them, you know what I'm saying? So it kind of turned me on to the business side of it. We let go of Mo, and I was just like, man, like they really don't care. Like it's whatever they feel like is best for the team at that time, or whatever those negotiations or whatever's going on, like shit can change fast. And then the third year LA leave. So like when he left, I was like, bruh, this shit is fragile. Like anything can happen. He was gone. Before my third year, I know that they was like trying to get him to sign the extension. I remember seeing something where he said, I'm gonna just re-sign next summer. Like he didn't sign the extension, and I didn't think nothing of it. Like now, if somebody said that right now, I'd be like, yeah, he probably think about something different. But at the time, I'm like, maybe he'd get more money if he just signed next summer. I didn't really think nothing of it because I felt like in that playoffs, me and him reached a different level connection-wise.
Now right there, that might have been Dame's mistake, because at some point, if they were really close, he would have understood LaMarcus Aldridge didn't really necessarily enter into the franchise and was valued as he should have been as a number 2 overall pick. And by the time he got to the playoffs in his third season, they lost the first time around to the Rockets 4-2, and they also lost to the Phoenix Suns in the playoffs in 2009. Same thing in 2011 where they lost to the Dallas Mavericks. And then in the following season, B. Roy retired. And this is all after the Greg Oden situation did not really work out. And there was a major, huge disconnect with that whole situation, as there was a lot of questions with their medical staff, including of how B. Roy was kind of forced into early retirement. Things were not like how the NBA is today. Not every single franchise invested huge amounts of money into their medical staff. And then after drafting Dame in the 2012-2013 season, they missed the playoffs. And in the following season, 2013-2014, they got eliminated by the San Antonio Spurs in the second round. So the Blazers went through a lot of first-round exits. They don't necessarily go after top-level free agents. We don't even hear of an attempt. And at the same time, LaMarcus Aldridge kind of watched the franchise suffer 2 losses with stars dealing with injuries and a questionable medical staff. So if Dame was really doing his homework, he would know that LaMarcus Aldridge went through a lot of ups and downs, and he understands throughout all those years that the Blazers didn't necessarily really make any real attempts to get a top-notch free agent. They're not that kind of franchise, and they're not even that kind of destination. As even Dame throughout his career, he tried to get Carmelo Anthony to come to Portland, and he only did when he was virtually on his way out of the league. Remember when Kevin Durant laughed in CJ McCollum's face when he was making reference to teams that were in consideration of actually winning an NBA championship? A lot of the NBA players feel that same exact way when it comes to choosing Portland as a destination to go to.
On the court, and then, coming into that third year, I felt like, we came out and we was on the road. Like, we just kind of continued it for most of the season. And he hurt his thumb, and then Wes got hurt, and then, it just seemed like stuff stopped going well. When he came back, we wasn't playing well. We was having like some little adversity. We limped into the playoffs. A lot of people was hurt. And we lose to Memphis in the first round, the season end. And I remember when it came time for free agency, they was just like, we got some meetings, we gonna go meet with LA, blah, blah. Is you guys' relationship salvageable? That's what the team was asking me. And I was just like, is our relationship salvageable? Like, what you talking about? Me and him never had an argument, nothing. Like,
once again, keep in mind, LaMarcus Aldridge mentioned the lack of community aspect with the Portland Trail Blazers. How the hell the team is going through free agency and now asking Dame, how can we salvage you guys' relationship? There's a major disconnect there.
Like, this whole time I thought we was smooth. Like, I thought we was cool. And they looking at me kind of confused, like, you serious? I'm like, I don't see what the issue is. So I walk out of the meeting with them and I'm just like, is our relationship salvageable? I'm thinking to myself, like, why would they ask me that? So I'm walking to the car, I call LA, like, L, what's up? And he like, what's up, bro? I'm like, we supposed to be coming to meet you. Like, why they, you know what I'm saying? Why they asking me? He like, man, I'm hearing that, people saying it's your team and, they telling me it's my team and they gonna do this and all this other stuff. I don't know who's saying what. So, it's too late now. Like, I'm gonna move on. That's what he's saying to me on the phone. So I'm like, all right, bro, like, you know what I'm saying? I thought everything was smooth. I didn't even know none of this stuff existed, you know what I mean? So we get off the phone. Shortly after that, it came out, like, he signed with the Spurs. I was more confused because I'm like, I never even been in their offices before today. Like, I never was in the office before today. So I'm like, it had to be just like rumors of people saying that, they telling Dame one thing and telling you something.
Doesn't all this sound very similar to the way Dame was traded to Milwaukee? There was a lot of confusion. There was a lot of, I thought this and they thought that. Again, the community aspect within the organization is missing, and you could definitely see it right here.
It took for us to be on different teams for 4 years for me to talk to them like, bro, like, they never said nothing about no team or none of that.
Damn. You guys were in 2 different teams for 4 years just to talk about it? See, they were never close to begin with. I don't know if Dame is doing like, Dame Dollar, he's really good at like masking and kind of like softening up his image. He's very good at it. Mr. I brand myself on loyalty, not getting away from the grind. But at the end of the day, his organization never really makes an attempt to actually go for the gold. When was the last time we ever heard of the Blazers actually going after a top-notch free agent?
That to me, I never even had no conversations with them outside of when I see them at the arena or at practice on the court and they shake my hand. Like, how is everything? Like, we finally got to the bottom of it. Like, man, it was really just other people saying stuff. And I was just like, bro, I never really cared about, who team it is and who city it is or none of that. I was trying to be the best compliment to you. It really was just the fact that, he was hearing that they was telling me one thing and telling him something different. And, he went through that with B-Roy once before, so he was like, I'm just gonna leave, you know what I'm saying? So I felt like in the next 1 or 2 years we would have won it because we was like one of the best teams my second year, just inexperienced. We was one of the best teams for a long time. My third year just had a lot of injuries, like major injuries.
That's cap. By the time 1 or 2 years happened, teams were actually spending money, getting the big three. Even the Warriors went out of their way to get KD. Dame, you had no shot. Even the Cavs were spending money. They got Kevin Love, Kyrie Irving. I mean, that team with LeBron James in 2016 all the way through 2018 was one of the most expensive NBA teams on record. So if the Portland Trail Blazers were not spending money going after free agents, you didn't really stand a chance.
I feel like that fourth year would have been a good year. You got to think we had Will Barton stepping into his fourth year too. Like, Will played well for us over the years. Like,
and by the time Will Barton's contract is up, the Blazers, they're gonna be scratching their heads like, I don't know.
Okay, CJ played well in the playoffs when we lost to Memphis. Now you got CJ. So now you got two really good guards today coming off your bench. You got West coming back. You likely bring Batum back. You got Robin Lopez at center. You got Kaman coming off the bench at the 5. You got T-Rob still on your bench. Like,
honestly, Dame, you guys would not even have gotten past KD and Russell Westbrook in OKC. That 2016 team is really underrated. You would have never got past them. And by the time the Warriors came up, we saw in 2019 when it was just you and CJ and your whole Portland Trail Blazers squad healthy versus just Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson, they pretty much mollywopped you 4-0. So you were never even close.
I feel like if we come back like that and now we a year more experienced and a year better, would have been even better. So I think within those next 2 years, we'd have won it for sure. I feel like we would have won a championship.
Hey, it is what it is. You know, there's a lot of what ifs with the Portland Trail Blazers, but their greatest what if is how their team would have panned out had Greg Oden stayed healthy, as well as Brandon Roy. That was definitely a championship team for the making, and they had a perfect build, especially for that era when you had to go through big men like Yao Ming. Greg Oden was very skilled for his size. He had great passing ability, and putting him alongside LaMarcus Aldridge and a dynamic guard like Brandon Roy, that's a killer formula. And that was really the Blazers' best chance to consistently make noise in that Western Conference. And hell, it could have possibly even gotten to the finals or even won a championship or two. So Trae Young coming into this season has probably the most pressure to at least produce a winning product with the Atlanta Hawks. Even the same amount of pressure as a superstar that's considered to make the NBA Finals. He doesn't necessarily have to do so, but at least have some sort of success this season, even if that means making the first round as a 4th or 5th seed, or even just leading the team outside of the play-in. And his most recent clash with Pat Bev, it exposed a lot of things. First of all, it is a clash between two different NBA fan bases. Those who appreciate the game from a more individual level as far as showmanship, and the other side of the coin is a fan base that appreciates the team game and actually on-court success. We all love to see Trae Day in the playoffs. He does bring a nice flair to the game, but he has had 3 head coaches in the last 5 seasons. And also the Hawks have gone through many variations of their team trying to make this thing work out with Trae Young, giving up multiple first-round picks for DeJounte Murray. They had the version of the team with Bojan and Kevin Herdier, John Collins, Danilo Gallinari. They made a lot of moves in that offseason. And now, as of recent, we've seen them get rid of guys like DeAndre Hunter, which is a good solid piece to an in-conference rival, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, through their social media beef, even though Pat Bev should have pulled Trae Young aside, knowing that he's coming into a major season where he does have a player option, and he also has the ability to lead this team in an Eastern Conference that's injury-riddled to at least an all-NBA season, thus triggering a Supermax contract option for himself. But things spilling over into social media, Pat Bev kind of exposed a lot of things that Trae Young really did not respond to, such as him being known as a coach killer, also him being hard to play with. And this one major thing that we should all take into consideration is the Hawks had not had a team president in over 2 seasons. that is very ironic. Trae Young got to watch his back because they recently just hired 2 people under that position that would normally support that role, a vice president and an analytics guy. And ever since Travis Schleck, a former Golden State Warriors assistant GM, ever since he left that team, he was looking for that Golden State package to bring it into Atlanta. And that is very hard to imitate. An NBA team like the Hawks, who made a lot of moves in the past couple of seasons, whether through trades, as we've seen, sending a lot of players away, even draft picks. The DeJounte Murray deal did not end up working out, even though they sent 3 first-round picks in order to get him. But we're going to get into this layer by layer, as Pat Bev, even though I didn't like the fact that he kind of called him out in public, knowing that this is a young player that's going through a transition and he's coming into a major NBA season. But Pat Bev, he kind of proved he's from Chi-Town, as he brought kind of a new nuance to this whole NBA player podcast media landscape as far as the trolling. But we're going to get into it. But first, we're going to hear the original comment from Pat Bev as it triggered Trae Young to a response.
He said, "Relax, let us speak for ourselves." Interesting.
Very interesting coming from Trae Young, a person that on this pod we ride and die for Trae Young.
Yeah, he didn't want us to ride and die for him.
It was very interesting take. I don't know. I don't think he's in a position to speak.
Why is that?
I don't think he's won enough to speak. I don't think he's won enough to even speak to me like that or tweet me like that. Like, he's been to the playoffs 3 times.
Okay.
Right? I've been to the playoffs 9.
9 is more than 3.
He's been in the NBA 7 years.
Right.
My first 7 years, I didn't miss the playoffs at all.
Interesting.
In the Western Conference.
Interesting.
Right. His rebuttal is probably going to be, yeah, you want the main player on the team. You're absolutely right. But this is why it's a team.
Facts. And this is something that a lot of fan bases, you know, that are more into the individual game, kind of they cheer for a player, not necessarily a team. When we're talking about in the NBA, you winning games, it's always going to be team-based. You're getting deep into the playoffs. That's because of the team. The team game is what really gets you to that level. When you play the individual game, you're just having regular season success, and you're pretty much a play-in team or you're a first-round elimination. Pat Bev, make no mistake about it, even though he wasn't the main guy, he started alongside James Harden, who was not necessarily known for his defense, but yet the Houston Rockets were consistently making deep playoff runs and also sitting at the top of their conference.
5 players out there.
Right. That's why it's a team. In order for him to make 9, he would have to be in year 13, knock on wood, nothing injury happens, consecutively just to tie me of making the playoffs 9 times. I think I've only missed the playoffs 1 time in my career. Ironically, it's with the team that I'm from, Chicago Bulls.
Damn. And that was still playing.
Yeah, but still, I don't count that.
It doesn't count.
Yeah. I've talked to people who played in Atlanta. They don't want to play there.
Why?
They don't think he's a good leader. They don't think he's a good teammate. This is not coming from me, motherfucker. This is coming from Joe Blow over here. You know, and I ain't go tell who Joe Blow is, but it's like, come on, man.
Once again, Trae Young got to watch his back. His team has not hired a president, but yet this season they hired a vice president and an analytics guy to work right underneath that position that would normally be a supporting role to the president. So that means either they can't find someone to actually be willing to take that job, or they're pretty much testing out Trae Young to see if this doesn't work out, we're going to pretty much begin to pack this up by either trading him away or just letting that contract expire.
Trae, you can score all the points you want. You can make all the money you want. You can have all the leading assists you want. You can do all that. If you don't win, that shit won't matter. If you don't win, when you're retired, they're going to forget your name.
And that's facts. Unfortunately, that is the truth. Carmelo Anthony found that out the hard way. He's even made remarks just only a few years out of retirement of how the young kids don't necessarily even remember him like that, as it was looking up to players like Paul George, who at the time was making consistent playoff runs and even went on to go up against LeBron James in the Eastern Conference Finals. So a lot of that legacy is really attached to winning, because the NBA is always going to have guys that are going to come into the league and score a bunch of points. Hell, even some of the guys that are not normally stars, if they had the opportunity to take about 25 shots to 30 shots a night, they'll be putting up certain averages. Sometimes the NBA is a league of opportunity. Look at Jalen Brunson when Jason Kidd actually gave him a chance in Dallas. that was a seed that was able to sprout. But the NBA is full of guys like that coming out of this late first round or second round. And sometimes they normally don't get a chance to even be in a position to thrive.
Fast too, super fast. And this is, in order for him to reach me in the playoffs, he has to get to year 13 in a row, which means he can't not make it in almost. I don't even think he'll make it 9 times. I don't even think he'll make the playoffs as much as I make the playoffs, as much as I've made the playoffs.
So he doesn't have the wiggle room to miss the playoffs.
So I don't even think he has the wiggle room to talk about, fuck, are you not playing hard for an all-star game? You're not like you're playing in the playoffs. The fuck?
Woo! That's a Chi-Town coming out of Pat Bev right there. That's a Chi-Town coming out of Pat Bev. But hey, Trae Young is going to have to address some of these accusations right here. But as we're going to see later on in his response, he kind of tippy-toes around it.
No other all-star said anything behind it except you.
So what do you think his point is?
I don't know.
He's just trying to put himself above you?
I think so. Like, let us speak. Like, we mean, okay, well, let the motherfuckers who played in the playoffs more than 9 years speak too then before you speak. Little motherfucker, he got some nerve. He used his platform at 1 o'clock in the morning. No, you use your platform, use that motherfucker at 9 o'clock in the morning. Use it at prime time where every motherfucker can see it. Don't midnight tweet me. So 70 to 100,000 people can see. Well, I can slip this under the rug. I said it though, but I can slip it under the rug. No, put that motherfucker at my front door.
Once again, the Chi-Town is coming out of Pat Bev. I see it right there. Yo, Pat Bev is wild. But hey, nothing's going to slip past a Chi-Town motherfucker. I tell you that.
Could have been the cognac talking.
Yeah,
could have been the New Amsterdam talking.
Yeah, or Atlanta talking. That motherfucker told me, he played with told me, Pat, man, that shit ain't the Atlanta Hawks. That shit called the Trae Hawks. So it's no surprise to me why they don't win.
So it should be a wake-up call to him, you're saying? That maybe
it should have been. What do you mean? Look at all your peers around you. You don't get mad at me. And then the first word he used is relax. And I'm like, motherfucker, relax. You should be uncomfortable. You should be more uncomfortable. Why? That's the problem. You too motherfucking relaxed. 7 years, you made the playoffs 3 motherfucking times. You're too relaxed. Motherfucker, get uncomfortable. Really get uncomfortable and lead your motherfucking team to some more wins and playoff pushes.
Now, that's another issue right there that Trae Young, as we'll see throughout this segment, he kind of tippy-toes around because, once again, Nate McMillan took over, and that's when they had that playoff run against the Knicks. And then they had 2 back-to-back losing seasons. And another tall tale sign is them getting Quinn Snyder. That is a legit coach. For them in the first year to finish as a 10th seed and basically get mollywopped in the play-in. And then last year, they actually lost 2 playing games in a row to fully lose their 8th seed position. So not only the Hawks and Trae Young are struggling in the regular season to put their team in a higher seed, they're getting their cheeks clapped in these play-in games. That is not a good sign at all. And this is after they keep revamping the team and adding brand new coaches. Once again, Travis Schlenk, the former executive in the Golden State Warriors, when there was, kind of making that run in 2016, 2015, he came into Atlanta as a team president with that type of vision with Trae Young. And ever since they went through a couple of variations of the team and it not working out, he left the team in 2023, and they have not yet filled in that team president role. It's remained empty, but yet they keep making hires underneath that position. My man Trae Day better watch his back.
The game is better. The game needs that from you. Trust me. It's kids up here that look up to you. You talking about me fucking relax. You get uncomfortable. I challenge you to do that. I'll relax when you get uncomfortable.
Damn.
Yeah, that's weak.
It's firing me up, though.
Nah, cause coming from a hooper, that's weak. Especially when you know the truth. You know motherfuckers don't play hard. You know that. You feel me? You know that. So don't put yourself up here, right? Because you score a lot of points and a lot of assists, but you lose.
Well, it seems like he's just trying to take it as a chance to take a shot that you haven't been in an all-star game.
Obviously. But I've been on teams who won 50 games.
See right there, that's a clash between 2 different fan bases. They're looking at the points per game Trae Young puts up and the all-star appearances and the name recognition versus Pat Bev being a role player. But Pat Bev consistently, he's playing into June, into May. He's playing high-level basketball that really Trae Young hasn't gotten enough taste of. That kind of level of having the expectations to be there and playing in May every single season, like Pat Bev had in Houston, is a level that Trae Young does not really understand quite yet. He's not there yet. And within that level, it's always going to be a team game. It's not an individual game. Individual stars, of course, are going to put up the most points, etc. But it's within a frame. It's within a team frame. It's always going to be that way. Once you start getting into the second round of the playoffs, the conference finals, and the NBA finals, it's always going to be team-based. That right there is a disconnect with some of the NBA fan bases that just kind of pay attention to the more individual game, the all-star appearances, the individual accolades like MVPs or scoring titles. There's a major difference in that versus playing in May and also in June.
Teams who won 49 games a season. 2 teams that been to the Western Conference All-Star. I don't know what missing the playoff feels like. I have to tell my family every year, Daddy be home in June. I don't know what April feels like.
Damn, Pat Bev. That's the Chi-Town coming out once again.
I don't know what April and early May in Atlanta feels like. I don't. Knee deep in the trenches. Like, so I just don't understand it. Like, and I didn't even want to tweet it. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna give him the energy that he exactly needs.
Hey, that's a flex right there. Even though Trae Young flexing that he's an all-star, that the all-star should talk for themselves, Pat Bev is flexing his muscle. That is definitely a flex right there. Pat Bev does not have to be an all-star. If he's a starter and he's consistently in that realm, playing into April, May, and having that expectations for multiple seasons in a row, that is a flex.
Well, he just got it.
Yeah, make 9. Make the playoffs 9 times, then we talk.
I mean, I think the obvious answer to the actual question is that people are trying to get better in the summertime, and nobody's trying to get better during the All-Star game. They're trying to, like, just get a fancy layup.
Okay, well, if that's the case, go get MVP every year in the All-Star game.
Put 40 up in the All-Star game.
Cool.
Which is not really saying much nowadays the way these guys are playing.
Then I won't say shit to you. But in the All-Star game then.
Put 40 up in the All-Star game.
Cool. Then I won't say shit to you. But don't come up there like you have the platform where you can just chill in the All-Star game like you are this winner of consecutive years of consecutive trophies. Like, bro, relax. You relax. Matter of fact, you know what? Don't relax. You get uncomfortable. Fuck that. You're too relaxed. You're too motherfucking cool. Stop being so cool.
Too cool.
Too cool. And that's the problem with, some basketball players. It's too fucking cool.
And Pat Bev talking like this, he eventually deleted the video. He eventually took it down because he went completely off on Trae Young. So something must have been said behind the scenes. But once again, Trae Young is entering into this season with major pressure because things are starting to look like they're going to fall on his shoulders. Like the fingers are going to begin to get pointed at him. You got Jalen Johnson. Your team lucked up with the first overall pick in Zachary. And the Hawks, make no mistake about it, they're on the up and up. They got KP. They got a stretch 5. He's healthy. Some of the injury issues he had in Boston last season, he said those days are behind him. And Trae Young is entering into a major season for him. He has a major opportunity not only to get paid, but also to prove the naysayers wrong. And that's why he's responded to what Pat Bev had to say right here. Even though we're going to hear throughout him talking that he's not necessarily a media guy because the video is highly edited.
You said it. You went to the playoffs 9 times. I've only been to the playoffs 3. You're right. You have 6 more playoff appearances than me. Let's bring up some more facts. You've been to 1 conference finals. I've been to 1 conference finals. What year was that for you? Just another fact, year 9. The year I made it was year 3. Just a fact. You want to know another one? You averaged 7 points and 2 is. I don't even know why I'm doing this. Like I'm really not even here to talk about my numbers, but here they are. Let's get into some more facts, actually. You talk about a winner. What have you won? Tell me, what have you won? And don't respond with that, like, sympathy. I won in life, I won in basketball, because you did, man. You made it to the NBA. There's very many people that can say that. But at the same time, bro, it's levels to this shit.
And there definitely is levels to this shit, but Pat Bev, when he was speaking about being a winner, he really meant on terms of expectations. Like his team was expected to be at the top of their conference year in, year out, making deep playoff pushes. That's something that Trae Young and the Hawks have not yet got up to, even though they did get to the conference finals much quicker. But we don't have expectations of them being in the playoffs come mid-April, early May. That's the expectation that was placed on the James Harden Houston Rockets year in, year out. So there are levels to winning. And overall, when Pat Bev was starting for the Rockets, they were a winning team. They were at the top of their conference, and they definitely were in the mix to make the NBA Finals.
And I don't respond to a lot of people. There's been a lot of things said about me over the years. There's been a lot of fake things that have been reported about me and in my time in Atlanta, and I've been quiet. But you, out of all people, should really know me. Out of all people that do a lot of talking for a living should know me. Just me and you. What you did versus me, what I did versus you. Granted, when I came into the league, you were going into year 7. It's just different timetables, I get it. You're a little bit later into your career. I was 19, about to be 20, going into my rookie season. Do you want to know your age going into your rookie season? You were 24, your first year in the NBA. So you're talking about uncomfortable. Man, you don't know what uncomfortable is. Not in my world. We all had different things. We all had different battles that we fight with on and off the court. Me saying that doesn't make it seem like you ain't never been through nothing. Don't get it twisted. And that's why I'm not tweeting you. I'm letting you know face to face. We talking basketball here. You don't know what it's like to be in my position. You don't know what it's like to put these shoes on. You don't know what it's like, man. And that's why I'm here, having this conversation with you, having to clear up context with you. Because these same people that you saying were my teammates that were calling you, telling you that it ain't the Atlanta Hawks, it's the Trae Hawks. I'm sure they're the same people that have my number that you could have called me and asked me to have this conversation off the camera or off social media. Just like you asked KD to do when he tried to come at you today. I wanted to take that route that Jaylen Brown took with Stephen A. Smith and tell you to state your source. State your source. You in the media field now. I don't look at you as a player. State your source. Which teammate of mine told me that it's the Trae Hawks, it ain't the Atlanta Hawks? Because I would tell you myself, I have a lot of teammates I keep in touch with, a lot. A lot that I know you know. So I want you to state your source. Because I know some guys that were my teammates that are in the media field. You can be the guy that changes this whole game. Just state your source. It's part of it. I challenge you.
Now, stating your source is one thing. And once again, we all love Trae Young in the playoffs. He brings a different flair to the game. I believe he should be in there every single season, and it's definitely a must-watch. But again, the receipts are all out there. We see multiple trades, and so far coming into this season, this is going to be the third variation of your team. 3 head coaches in 5 years, and multiple players traded in and out. There's only one consistent mold, so it's up to Trae Young to prove the naysayers wrong.
But wait, we got some more facts for you. And this has nothing to do with any of the guys' legacies and players that I'm about to name, because to be honest, I didn't really want to mention anybody's name in this, because this is between me and you. You play with some big-time players, my guy. You talk about winning and impact winning and all these things. You've been on some teams with some big-time players. How about I go through a list of these guys? LeBron, Giannis, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Ant-Man, Cat. And we're not even going to talk about how we celebrate play-in wins.
Now, once again, Pat Bev was really only talking about his time in Houston when he was consistently making the playoffs. If you just take that time span and the amount of games that they were winning and just the expectations they had, it definitely would beat out Trae Young up until this point in his career as far as winning. And winning is always going to be a team concept in the NBA come late April, early May, and into June.
I win play-in games on the road, and I'm ready to get to the playoffs. You win play-in games at home, and you standing on the scores table acting like it's a championship. We celebrate wins different too. But let me get back to these guys. You've had some great teammates over these years that you've only been able to make the conference finals with because your impact was that strong. One time, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Sweet Lemon Pepper Lou, and Dwight Howard. I can go on and on. Them is just the Hall of Famers that I could just pop on the list right now. Let's not name some of the guys that I know may have listened to you when they was around you, but the way they act is not the way you act. Even from the young guys who are going to be future Hall of Famers. A guy who just won MVP, a guy who just won a championship. I know he looked up to you as a rookie, but you saw what happened when you left. But we don't even need to get into that. Some of them are still adding on to their legacies in the game of basketball. We talking basketball here. In one conference finals to show for it, your impact for winning was very strong, huh? And this ain't no shot again to them guys, because I know from being in my shoes, I know how hard it is to win in this league. I know how much luck you have to have on your side to win at a high level and go play into June, like you said. Because you play in June every year, huh? You've been able to play with all these guys, and you talk about impact winning. Where was your real impact in winning? I know you were labeled as a tough defender, a great defender, and the accolades say that you were. But I promise you, anytime you was on the court with me, I was never scared of you. I was never scared of Patty Bev. I promise you. And as you can tell, Patty don't scare me now. And also, let me clarify my tweet for you, since you want to do it this way. Relax. Let us speak for ourselves. It's simply just that. Let us speak for ourselves. Some of us have different opinions than others.
I believe this part with Trae Young, he definitely wasn't trying to take a shot at Pat Bev when he was talking about the All-Stars and how hard they play, let them speak for themselves. And Pat Bev took it up a notch. I don't think Trae Young expected all this. Once again, you can see throughout this soundbite right here that he's not necessarily media trained. This is very heavily edited. He's not really a microphone guy. He's not really a media personality at all. He doesn't seem like he likes to be in front of the mic talking so much. But this is definitely very heavily edited.
But if you have somebody who's a non-All-Star, who's never been to the All-Star game, never even had a chance, or even felt like he had a chance when he was playing in this league, say that the guys who are All-Stars take the game for granted when we playing. I can't speak for every All-Star that's been there. I can only speak for myself. And I just wanted to let you know that you need to relax, because not every All-Star that's played in the game or plays in the game wants to play the way we do, or wants to see the type of performances that we've had. So when I say let us speak for ourselves, I mean just that, Patty. Let the All-Stars speak about us. Let the All-Stars speak about the game. Everybody has an opinion. You have an opinion, but just don't be disrespectful, especially coming from somebody who's been in the game, who's been carried by a lot of All-Stars. A lot of these wins that you say you've had, being a winning player in the NBA, a lot of those wins, basically every single one of those wins, you were being carried by an All-Star, if not two at the same time. So for me, I just took offense that you could even come out and even say that we take the game for granted because of what you see on 1-2 hours on a Sunday night as a fan watching the game. I'm just disappointed as an NBA brother of yours that you would come out and say something like that. If you really know me, and you really know how much I care about the game of basketball, you really know how much I'd rather see my teammates succeed than me, no matter what my numbers look like. I'm sorry the way I play the game, the way I can come off a pick and roll and find somebody to score.
Now with Trae Young talking about the way he plays the game, I would say the only thing he really needs to add is more of a mid-range. There's only one Stephen Curry in the NBA, and he's probably going to be that only archetype for a long time. But if the Hawks could find someone to kill from the mid-range, or even Trae Young just take a few more mid-range shots, it could completely change the dynamics of that team. Because keep in mind, the Golden State Warriors, when they were killing it around 2016, 2015, Harrison Barnes was destroying guys from the mid-range. And even when KD got there, he was still killing it from the mid-range. But they do call this a copycat league for a reason. And some of these teams are way too caught up in what the Warriors used to do. And the NBA game is ever evolving. Even right now, current day, teams are beginning to play with a lot bigger lineups. You see the Houston Rockets, Jokic is taking over, and even to a degree OKC with Chet and the way they got Hartenstein to sort of complete their team. The small ball era of the 2010s, how quickly it was ushered in, is beginning to close. And it's very, very subtle.
I actually put the ball in the basket myself. The numbers generate the way they do, but I promise it's not a selfish bone in my body. But I know a lot of people was wanting me probably just to listen to that Drake song and post that bar. We all know how that goes, but I wanted to play your game because I know you wanted to react to me and say what you said about me for attention, for some subscribers, for some likes. I hope you get all the attention, all the love out of this that you wanted, all that you ever wanted. Here you go. But I promise you, this is the last time I'm talking about it. I gotta go get ready for a season. I gotta go get ready to try to win a championship. I'm going into year 8, I'm about to be 27. You're 37, my guy. I'm going into year 8. about to be 27. I ain't even enter my prime. I'm glad you transitioned over into the media field. I wish you nothing but the best. I will forever be a pro player in whatever we do. And I'm gonna just leave it here with this. I want us as players that if we do leave the game and go into the media space, that other players that are still playing don't have this certain image of us, where it looks like we just saying things or we're doing things for clickbait or for money, and it's...
Facts. Now, this right here, Trae Young, I agree with 100%. I think Pat Bev should have took him to the side and kind of spoke about this. But Pat Bev, being from Chicago, he took it a kind of way when you kind of replied to his tweet at 1 a.m. in the morning. And he's definitely leveled this up to a whole different notch.
We better than that. And I didn't want to be here to do this, but I'm giving you this as a gift for everything you meant to this game on the defensive end. But seriously though, you did mean a lot to this game, man. I got nothing but love. If you want to chat, you got some teammates that know my number. Or if you want to just keep talking about it, you can keep talking about it. So I ain't got time for this anymore. Jalen Johnson about to make his first All-Star appearance. Kristaps is over here now on the squad.
And Zachary too. This is where Trae Young is going to really make his bones. Getting Zachary and Jalen Johnson to be perennial All-Stars or just even All-Stars is going to make a major difference for the Hawks when it comes to their overall record and just their total season success.
It's about to be a season, man. Just make sure you watch. Make sure you're doing your thing. Continue to be great in the podcast field.
That sounds like a slight. I'm not too sure. That kind of sounds like a slight, but hey, it is what it is.
If you need tickets to a Hawks game, let me know. Love from the point. Peace.
Now, in the next response, Pat Bev actually takes it up to a whole other level as he brings sort of a Walt Disney kind of theme music in the background as he begins to respond back to Trae Young. This is some true Chi-Town shit right here with the music. Just peep the whole ambiance of how he's going to respond right here.
Now, if any other All-Star would have said something, I would have let it slide. But you, like, you out of all people, you had no room to say anything. You haven't done anything. So, when it comes to criticism, why the fuck you can't be criticized? Like, what have you done where you can't be criticized? We criticize Russell Westbrook, a 2-time MVP. Motherfuckers call him Westbrook. We criticize LeBron James, right? We criticize all these people. What? Who the fuck said you can't be criticized?
This is hilarious. The fucking theme music with the pianos. Oh, Pat Bev is taking this NBA podcaster shit to a whole other level. This is crazy.
Like, you haven't done anything. So until you've done something, yes, you have to be criticized. And you should appreciate it because the criticism isn't coming from a player who hasn't played. It's coming from somebody who's shared the floor with you. Left a mark in the NBA. Right? So like, miss me with all that. Like, I'm with you. You're the fastest person to 12,000 points, and you're the fastest person to 4,000 assists, and you get scored on the most in the NBA. Empty stats, we call it. That's the truth. That is the hard truth, bro. Like, that's the truth. And use it as motivation. And it's gonna be motivation because you got on your platform, you said your thing, you popped your shit. I'm glad that you did. I'm glad that you did, bro. Like, I appreciate that. It make me sense. You got a sense of fire in you, but the truth is the truth, bro. You don't win. And until you start winning, it's when your word can become bigger. If this was anybody else, I'd take it. You know what? KD, you got it. I can't say nothing to you. What I'm gonna say to KD, Brian, you got it. But you, on the other hand, nah, you ain't got it. Humble yourself. Embrace the constructive criticism. Get better at that and move the fuck on. We don't have to keep going back like this a motherfucking YouTube debate. Like, it ain't that deep. You talk about uncomfortable. You talk about me coming to the league at what, 24? Do you know where I was at before you get the name and shit, right? We talk about being uncomfortable. You think you can make it out of second division Ukraine, right? You think you can go to Greece? Make a team, right? Make a team and get out of Greece and get drafted. You think you can go play in Russia for 3 years, make it out, still go to the NBA? You talking about uncomfortable? I'm the motherfucker that know uncomfortable more than anybody.
Yo, making it out of second division Ukraine sounds wild in 2025. Sheesh.
Right? But with all that, we go talk facts, right? Like, cause I like to go facts. And anything I say, right, is don't take it how I'm saying it. Just take it, is it true, yes or no? Simple as that, right? Facts. This is a fact. Everyone that comes sees Trae Young, they get thrown out the building by their column. You hear me? Players come, they see you, they get traded. Coaches come, they coach you, they get traded. GMs come, they govern the team, and then they get fired. Everyone that sees Trae Young gets fired. That's the truth. That is the truth, right?
Now that part is what Trae Young really has to address. Once again, the team has not hired a president in over 2 seasons, but yet they hired a vice president most recently and an analytics guy to work right underneath that position. It's either they can't fill it or it's looking like no one wants to take that job with Trae Young there because he is truly hard to build around, and we can see the results. The Hawks have gone through 3 different variations with him being on the team, and the tall tale sign is that DeJounte Murray situation. They gave away multiple first-round picks for him just to trade him away again.
No one has coach killer. Like, no one has. People are scared to play in Atlanta. This is the truth. I don't know if you know or not. Feel me? I really don't know if you know or not, right? Players don't want to come play in Atlanta. Coaches don't want to come coach in Atlanta. Lloyd Pierce, great young coach. Nick McMillan, phenomenal coach. Cooked when they came and saw you. Cooked. We talking about coaches who had bright futures, right? People come see you after they leave you, they're cooked. That's the truth. When I was overseas, you can ask anybody, the man. When I was in college, the man. In high school, the man. Can you be the man and come to the NBA and be a whole nother different role? Can you be an offensive threat your whole career, come to the NBA, all of a sudden you're the best defensive player? These are your words, not mine. These are you saying words about me. I'm a great defensive player. Can you switch your roles and become a great defensive player? You mentioned all the guys I played with, right? All the guys I played with. LeBrons, the James Hardens, the Kawhis, the Giannis's, the Dames, right? You name all these guys, right? But like, if I'm working out in Houston, James Harden is in Houston working out, not James Harden is working out at another place. Every time we see you, you're working out at another place. We never see you in the Hawks arena working out. What teammate, what leader? Like, I come to the Lakers facility, LeBron is there at 5 o'clock in the morning. I come to Milwaukee Bucks facility to get my work in. Greek is there already. James Harden has been there, practices, and he gonna come back that night. You're the only person we see on the internet never at your practice facility. It's wild. It's wild. Like we gonna be real, let's be real. That's real. You're not a great leader. Can you be a great leader? Yes. Yes, you can. Right? Right? Will it take this? Probably so. Regardless how it goes, it's gonna be good that comes out of this, regardless. Right? I hope this is motivating. Right? I hope that you get to the end of the year and you fighting for a playoff spot. I hope that this is so fucking motivating that this takes you to the Eastern Conference. I hope. Trust me. I like to see you at half court shivering them little ass shoulders. Right? But don't get it twisted, Trae. Like, don't get it twisted. When you talk about facts and basketball, these are facts. You don't win. People get fired. Simple as that. And we talk about like roles, right? We talk about, what you say, 7 points, right? Like that was my role, right? To make motherfuckers like you look good, right? To make motherfuckers who don't play defense, who are liabilities in the fourth quarter. If it's a tie game and the other team has the ball, you cannot be on the court. This is the truth. Everybody used to come want to play in Atlanta. Every coach used to come want to coach in Atlanta. Like, Atlanta is ATL shawty. Like, everybody want to be in the A. You got there, they've been awful. They've been god awful. The last point guard who held it down was Jeff Teague. You just on a pod with him. Was Jeff Teague. All-star. Also. Want the main player. Got farther than you. Like, so come on with all that, dog. I'm all with you, Trae. I'm all with you. The game needs it. The game needs you to be in the playoffs, right? You're the closest motherfucking thing when it comes from shooting the ball to Steph Curry. You're the closest motherfucking thing. The game needs you. But you gotta sacrifice yourself more for the better of the team.
Damn, the NBA is a petty league, man. So much slight shade has been thrown. You know, from Trae Young mentioning Pat Bev being just a defender, from Pat Bev saying you shrug your little shoulders, and NBA is crazy. These guys are petty to a degree. I mean, even Pat Bev just mentioning Jeff Teague got further than him. Come on, man. Jeff Teague and Trae Young is not even a comparison. Trae Young is a much better talent level.
And sometimes that means your game. Or sometimes that means your personality. Straight up. And that's all it is. Constructive criticism. Take it how you fucking want to take it. It don't matter to me. But don't take it personal. And I'm all with it, right? You call me anything. You call me crazy. You can call me delusional, right? But where I'm from, you have to be delusional to even make it out.
Yo, peep the music. Yo, the music is insane. Do they have like the Walt Disney character in the background playing the pianos and the synths?
Right. I know you talking about me standing on the table, me with my jersey. Where I'm from, we celebrate all wins, even the minor shit. Where I'm from, we celebrate waking up and making it back home. We celebrate every fucking win. And that's your issue right there. Anybody can celebrate the big wins. Motherfucker, yes, you damn right. Took off jersey, stood on the motherfucking table, swung it in the air like this. You damn right I did. Do it again. We celebrate all wins. For real. Get out your feelings. Stop acting like a little boy. And when you talk, peep your motherfucking chest up and say it with heart. What are you talking about? Small wins. Yes, you celebrate everything. Every single thing. What are we talking about? It's basketball. But that's where I'm from. Feel me? You was in the house, I was in the field. Fucking delusion, man. Love, man.
So after this Walt Disney response, Pat Bev continued on and actually gave great insight to some of the politics of how certain people respond when you talk about certain players versus doing the same thing to other guys. And he also got into a nuanced discussion about the team game, the overall team dynamic of the NBA, which is really how you gain success in the league as far as winning.
I feel any of that, rebuttaling with emotion, So I think he wants a response, and I'm not gonna give it to him. He doesn't count.
Fair enough.
He doesn't count.
Yeah, if that's the company line, then you know what I mean. No reason to ask you for a statement on him if you're not making a statement on him.
Yeah, he doesn't count. I mean, I wanted to play everybody on that motherfucking show. Except Gilbert Arenas. Everybody been dunking me. Now everyone wants to play. It's wild. It's the craziest thing in the world. But it comes with entertaining and it comes with entertainment via social media.
If I'm you, I'm taking credit for every basket Trae Young makes this year.
Yeah, I think it. But I said that also.
Yeah,
it
you
helps.
wanted to inspire him.
Right. Not it helps. Right.
If he wins a championship, I think we point back to this conversation, and it's like, I think we deserve a little piece of that ring, Trae.
No. But it helps, though. It helps pushes the game because people want to see him, rub the motherfucking shoulders at half court.
He can be the coldest.
You feel me? So, it was never a who's better between me and Trae Young. That was never the argument. The argument only stemmed from how do you impact winning? And do you impact winning? And if you do, why don't you win? That's it.
Do you think it was disrespectful the way he was saying Patty Bev?
I don't know.
You've never put fear in my heart, Patty Bev.
I mean, with a voice like that, I don't really take him serious. Every NBA guy called. So first person called me was Lou Will. Lou Will hit me with I don't like how you did it, but you're not wrong. People hit me about it, you know what I'm saying? But it wasn't a me against Trae Young thing. It was never that way.
You acknowledge he's a good basketball player.
He's motherfucking youngest motherfucker to 12,000 points to 4,000 assists. What you mean? Obviously, right? Obviously, but does that? And I always go back. Does that translate to winning? You feel me? Like, you can say the numbers and you can say the ages and you can say whatever. I was 34-year-old starter. I was a 35-year-old starter. I was a 33-year-old starter. I was a 32-year-old starter. Is Trae Young going to be 33, 34, 35-year-old starter in this league at that size, at that age?
That's a good question right there. That is a really good question right there, because he's already killing it as far as the scoring and the assisting, but it's not really translating to wins. And he's young enough right now to put at least somewhat effort in the defensive end, and it's not really translating at all. So you can only imagine when he's an older player, much slower, and he might not have the same legs underneath him.
I've been in a situation in games where I'm like, hey, look, check it out. Hey, Beard. Hey, I got to chase this motherfucker Tony Parker around all motherfucking series. Like, I'm going to be good for a game or two. You feel me? I'll get you 10 to 15 points, you know, a game or two. But you gotta hold it down. You feel me? Like, you got to hold it down. I need you to, I need one of them 40 motherfuckers. Or like, hey, Lou, I got to chase Steph around this series, bro. Like, all my energy go be on motherfucking Steph. So, like, you gotta shoot some tough ones. Like, in order.
And that's the dynamic that does not get talked about enough when people compare Trae Young's points per game versus Pat Bev and the impact he had as a starter on the Houston Rockets, who year in, year out finished at the top of their conference, and they had the expectation to make deep playoff runs.
For us to win, because you got to put points on the ground. I'm gonna try hard as I can to limit these motherfuckers. You feel me? But, like, you got to pick up my slack. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's my message in the game. Like, you feel me? Like, it's no way I can guard Tony Parker, full court, advance pass. He come down off three strings, get it, play pick and roll. I got to chase him all around, and I come down and dipsy-do step back a motherfucker. Like, come on, man. I'm a wipe out middle of the third quarter, right?
And you know what? Klay Thompson does not get enough credit for that, because night in, night out, he was defending Westbrook, Damian Lillard, all the dynamic point guards of the West, and yet he was still coming off of ball screens on the offensive end and shooting at a high enough clip to at least average 20 points per game. Prime Klay Thompson was a bad motherfucker. Very, very underrated, and people are quick to forget.
I have to harness, I have to save my energy so I can, you know, be what the team needs me to be at that time. And that time is slowing other players down, not scoring. Like, my slowing other people down, like a guy who averages, 30, and he has 15. That's plus 15 for me, and anything else from me. 6 or 8. Cool. Now I'm at 23, 22, right? If you go analytics wise. So that's how I look at everything. I had to save so motherfucking much energy guarding these motherfuckers. It's just different.
Lou said that he liked what you said, but didn't like how you said it, or whatever the exact message of. What do you think he meant? Can you give a little bit more color to that conversation?
He meant like the organization plays a fault at that also. I'm like, okay, cool. That's a different story. But Trae he's had 100 teammates also, right? So, like, I understand that, right? I'm just saying, Lou, is this. Russell Westbrook good on the motherfucking internet. Motherfucker doing an interview, Russell Westbrook go up there. Pat Bev don't play defense, he trick y'all. The next 2 years, I had statistically some of the best defensive numbers I've ever had in my career. I didn't receive a defensive trophy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Nobody called Russell Westbrook and said, man, why you saying that about Pat Bev, man? I had some NBA guys say, man, you gonna hurt his pockets. And then my response, Shump hit me. Come on, Pat, man, we don't need that G. I feel you, but, like, we don't want to hurt nobody's pockets. I'm like, damn, that's crazy, because when Russ said that shit about me, you ain't hit Russ.
That's facts. And it is true that this is gonna hurt Trae Young's pockets if the way Pat Bev kind of brought this into the spotlight with so many head coaches, so many different variations of players. And at the same time, it is a double-edged sword, because guys are not going to come to defense of role players like Pat Bev when Russell Westbrook, the star at the time, would say something major to hurt his pockets, because he clearly put up his best statistical defensive numbers. But yet it really wasn't reflected in his pockets, because soon later he was just bouncing from team to team.
You know what I'm saying? So it's okay if someone else do it. Draymond Green told the motherfucker, Rodney McGruder. I think Rodney McGruder is arguing Klay Thompson. Draymond get on after the game. Tell me, yeah, he ain't gonna be in the league next couple years. Next couple years, he went in the league. Nobody said, Draymond, you bogus, man. Why you do that, man? You gonna fuck up that man money? Why does he get a pass?
Yeah, I think that keeping it real and then keeping a good narrative so nobody's money gets fucked up. It's like those two ideas can't coexist.
No, but it's okay for others to do it though, right? Motherfucker said Pat Bev don't play defense. He tricked y'all. He's just running around, right? Everybody laughed at it. Man, Pat, you don't play no defense. I'm like, damn, I'm really probably in that span of Houston Rockets Clippers, I probably was the best defensive guard in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? At that time, right? After that, I had better numbers, and people didn't even notice them, all because of what Russell Westbrook said.
We need a retraction from Russ.
You know what I'm saying? You know, and then 4 years later, we teammates, cool as fuck. You know what I'm saying? So like it's cool when they do it, but when I do it, it's like, Pat, why you say that, man? Nah, you can't say it. Like, nah, like I ain't. Let's be fair. That's it. And if I've lied, if I said one lie, right? If I said one lie, it was like, nah, Pat, you capping, right? Then call me out on it. I'm just giving you hard facts, the hard truth. Simple as that. I don't have to go back and forth. And I'm trying to attack your character, and I'm not trying to compare myself to fucking Trae Young. Like, the fuck? Nah.
Two different types of players.
Yeah, two different type of players. And you know, like the argument is, Pat, you've never been an all-star. Goddamn, no shit, Sherlock. Like, you're telling me something I do know, right? Like, I do know and everyone else know. But I have been to the playoffs 9 times. I have. Whether if I was the starting guard on that team in the playoffs every time. Like, you know, like, so you can say option, you can say 4th option, 5th option. I was the starting point guard / 2 guard, whatever my position was. When I was with James Harden or wasn't with James Harden, however it came, I was the starting point guard on 9 years for several different NBA teams, East and West. So you can say what you want to say.
You think you and Trae Young would fit together well in a backcourt?
Yeah, because he's naturally a 2. His success he had in the playoffs was when Lou Will had the ball, him coming off down screens and him initiating. You know, I mean, Lou Will initiating, him getting easy buckets. You know, Trae got to, you know, break somebody down, get into the paint, they go collapse. You got to make throw lob pass, you got to throw kick out pass, you got to get this shit off the dribble. Like, you know, easy buckets is easy buckets. It's the same shit how Steph get this shit now.
So it'd be nice to have you guys on the same team. Maybe we just squash this thing, and you know what I mean?
It's never a beef. Like, you know, internet makes things bigger than what it is, but it's never a Trae Young beef. I'm talking to Trae Young dad and Summer League. Dad, like, thanks, Pat. Thanks for taking up for my son. Like, yeah, man, he deserved to be on the USA team. Like, you feel me? Like, don't get it twisted. Like, we've shouted Trae Young out on the pod a ton. But when you come for me, let all-stars speak for themselves, it's only a certain amount of motherfuckers that can tell me that. Kevin Durant, he say that, I ain't gonna say a word. Steph Curry tell me that, I don't have a word. James Harden tell me that. Russell Westbrook tell me that. Giannis tell me that. Giannis responded. Pat, I play hard. Like Ray saying, I play hard. You know what you do. It wasn't a beef there. But it's levels to this shit. We criticize James Harden. He's never won a championship. Motherfucker never missed the playoffs neither. Never. Right? We criticize Draymond Green. No, he's an awful teammate. He whoop on his team. He whoop on his teammates. He's an awful teammate. So we can't say anything about Trae without it being like, oh yeah, you're wrong. How dare you do that? Oh, blasphemy, blasphemy, blasphemy. Like, come on, man. Let's be fair. We're in the business and we're in an era where everyone's criticized. And it's better than a player who's actually played to say it than someone who's never played the game. Says something that people don't agree with. Oh, you never been an all-star. It's like the
moving of the goalposts.
I'm talking the goalposts move so much. Like, what y'all want? Like, what y'all want? What y'all want? You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's just how it is.
It's how it is.
But people don't understand it. Like, you can't say that I lied. Like, everyone I talk to, like, was it my delivery? Like, yeah.
You could tell that he wasn't really lying because just the response, like Shumpert saying, come on, man, you gonna mess up his money. Like, nobody says, yo, Pat Bev, you talking crazy. Everything you said was false. Like, he didn't get any response like that. Like, even Lemon Pepper Lou kind of gave him like, yo, man, like, kind of give him a break. So at the end of the day, the elephant in the room was never addressed of what Pat Bev was really talking about. The number of teammates that are in and out the door, the 3 head coaches in 5 seasons, and also the fact that even in the front office, the team has left the president's role empty for multiple seasons and even hired a vice president and an analytics guy to kind of occupy that position in the meantime, but not necessarily claim the responsibility of that role.
Was it my delivery because I'm Pat Bev? Yeah. Okay. So you're not. You watch the games more. You watch the games. You tell me who don't play hard. It'll be good for basketball. Like however it plays out is going to be good for basketball. I was just shocked that I got a tribute video for Atlanta Hawks. They put like a whole tribute video of me getting scored on. But then I go like, okay, that's cool. Who won the most? And again, I wasn't wrong. We played the Hawks in a 7-game series. We played them 7 times. I was on a team where we beat them 4 out of 3. And if a 7-game series, that would be, I win, they lose. I mean, what else are we talking about? And I remember Paul George telling me like, nah, Pat, he's a legitimate scorer. Like he can put the ball in the hole. But I'm like, all right, PG. He like, nah, Pat, like he can hoop. You feel me? Like,
and then you were like, can he win though?
Right. I mean, what is it? Say less. My argument is always going to be, can you win?
Right.
So
well, but argument. I mean,
am I wrong? Am I wrong?
And that right there is the gap in this whole Pat Bev versus Trae Young debate. There's a side of the NBA audience that respects the numbers and just the individual beauty of the NBA game, versus a side that kind of pays attention to more of the winning dynamic. You can't be Michael Jordan without winning. You can't be Kobe without winning, or even LeBron James without winning. Winning is a huge component of their brands. And in this modern NBA era, they're just starting to begin to kind of phase out the branding of certain players as stars who don't normally win. We talking about like the Bradley Beal archetypes, the guys who put up more than 20 points per game, but yet they don't even make the playoffs, not even the play-in, if that. Labeling these guys stars or superstars is kind of a false branding, and it dumbs down the real superstars of the league. It dumbs down their branding a little bit when you just sort of name the best player on every team, you know, quote unquote, a superstar.
If this is golf and this is tennis, then oh yeah, he got a crazy overhand slam. His putt game is unbelievable. He could drive it 250 yards. But this is not the sport we in. We're in a team fucking sport. Well, sacrificing has to be done from everybody.
Who averaged more, Cam Thomas or Trae Young this past year?
Probably Trae.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a team sport.
On a championship contending team, Cam Thomas will definitely be a player off the bench. He would be perfect in the same role that Ray Allen was for the Miami Heat when LeBron was down there. And low key, people don't realize this, another player that kind of fits into that same role was CJ McCollum. When he was in Portland, being a number 2 option is great on a regular season team or just a team just making a little bit of playoff noise, but I'm talking about the real championship contending teams. CJ is a perfect role player to come off the bench and drop like 15 points in a series. Him and Cam Thomas are not efficient enough on the offensive end, especially when teams kind of clamper down and play high-level defense in the playoffs. The referees' whistles are tucked in. They're not going to get those foul calls, and their defense is not nowhere near as proficient as it needs to be for them to be on the floor for more than 25 minutes.
It's a team sport, right? This is not a one-on-one sport. This is a team sport. It's a team sport. Like it only comes down to winning and losing.
They both had 24.
Okay.
Interesting. One got $6 million. The other one is going to get $6 million after you fuck up his money.
Shit.
And right there, Pat Bev's host brought up a great point. His comments really could fuck up Trae Young's money. That's where all this really comes down to. And the other players throughout the league that kind of warned Pat Bev to tone it down a little bit, they pretty much expressed the same sentiment. But going back to the major gap between the two different NBA audiences in this whole Trae Young versus Pat Bev conversation is really the impact of a superstar's points per game on the team's ability to win. And Richard Jefferson has sat down with his crew and they spoke about how Mari Stoudemire brought up the fact that players like Carmelo Anthony came to the Knicks and kind of slowed down their ball movement, and how certain star players' production don't necessarily translate into winning. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
I think it's an observation, not a criticism. I think it's true, right? Like that it like Carmelo was a playoff player in Denver. He's been to the playoffs. It's not like his scoring translates to wins. Now the level of wins and how far they can go is one thing, but you do have to change the style of flow, right? Like same with Luka, same with certain guys that are so good, and Carmelo's one of them. You have to change the flow. Now in D'Antoni's system at the time, and the Knicks were cooking, they were like, can't we get something to add to the flow versus bringing in someone that is a flow changer, right? Rightfully so. Carmelo is that dude. So it wasn't, I don't think that that's a knock. I think that's an observation, right? I've seen Carmelo in the runs, right? So LA runs, Carmelo, like they're all cracking jokes about like who was going to shoot the last shot, and everybody was kind of like, it was like after the game, and like they was like, yeah, some people, and then like 2-3 people looked at him like kind of side-eyeing, and he just, goddamn right, I'm gonna shoot every fucking time, right? Like his mindset, even in the LA runs, were of like, I'm that dude. It's recognized. But for Amari, who played with Steve Nash, who played in the 7 seconds or less Suns, that played in that motion, the ball just keeps going. That's a very, very different thing. So I don't view that as a criticism.
No, it's not criticism. I think it's a fact. I mean, it is a fact. Playing with Alvin Gentry, who is obviously playing with Amari and Steve Nash and those teams, we weren't 7 seconds or less, maybe 10, but like the ball popping and flowing in specific spaces, and also the emphasis a little bit earlier on like threes, free throws, and layups. So think about D'Antoni, think about James Harden. James Harden is a D'Antoni guy. They are tried and true, right? Same with Daryl Morey. They are efficiency. Carmelo's like, I'm just better than you and can score 50. Fuck all this plays. I don't want to play fast. Give me the ball. Y'all go over there. When I get double teamed, then you might get the rock. But Carmelo's success is because of his skill set that allowed him to be anywhere and score anywhere on the floor. We didn't really have a lot of post plays. When I was with Alvin, it was more screen and roll. And then our read is looking at everyone. So like from the top down. And then where Carmelo's like,
give me the ball.
Rock, and then you stand. So your role is more of you don't get as many offensive touches. But on that team, because Amari he's very, very good on the block, but he's way better at screening and rolling, that creates so much gravity dropping the defense down, and now you get wide open jumpers. Melo, you like, well, I might not see this for about a quarter or two, so then I just gotta be ready.
And you guys both know this. Then because of a player's greatness and the way he plays, he is judged, can he turn that into wins, championships? That's it. Can Kobe go be that? That's why those 2 championships after Shaq left. Can he go be that guy and score all the points? Jordan did it. So for Carmelo, it was, I think, the one thing that he's a winner from the national championship, the Olympics, that. But did his style of play lead to championship and championship basketball?
Facts. Yo, Richard Jefferson is cooking right here. That's the importance of Kobe's 2 championships. It really proved the point that Kobe's play style can get to the final pinnacle, especially that championship against the Boston Celtics. That solidified Kobe's spot in just the hierarchy of legends, that he is up there with a certain tier because of him defeating that team. But again, his beef with Shaq was really him beginning to take the reins and just wanting full control of the LA Lakers, and everything good or bad falling on his shoulders with him being a team captain.
It didn't. Now there was draft picks with the Knicks, there was all these things, but ultimately you have to prove that your style of dominance can translate to championships.
Which is hard.
To do.
And which is something that Trae Young is going through right now. It's been a rocky road just to start off his career with all these changes, not only in the front office, but also with the head coaches and the player personnel. That's why I said this upcoming season, it is going to be huge for Trae Young. He doesn't necessarily have championship pressure, but he has sort of the same pressure to at least have a successful season, whether that be finishing a 4th seed or a 5th seed or even a 6th seed. Even if he gets knocked out in the first round, that will be considered a success, because all that losing that he did in the beginning, getting DeJounte Murray on the team and it's still not equating to success, all the variations they had, all the money they spent, all the draft picks that they traded away, the only consistent part is Trae Young being there. So he looks like the mole right now.
Right? Even LeBron doesn't play that way. Think about how many players played, like Kevin Durant. But even Kevin Durant was a souped up version, and he had better teams around him than Carmelo did, right? So it's hard to compare those scores and that style of give me the ball, I'm gonna lead us.
But at the same time, Carmelo kind of had the same issues as Trae Young. For the level of player that everyone perceives you to be, there's no reason why your team is missing the playoffs. In Melo's case, or even getting knocked out in the play-in with multiple losses with Trae Young. Remember, the Hawks entered the play-in as an 8th seed and they lost 2 games in a row. And they had multiple seasons where they got knocked out in the play-in rounds.
Let me ask you a further question. SGA.
Very different.
No.
Is it?
No, it's not. No.
Is it?
No. No, I'm with you.
Is it?
He's like MJ.
Yes, it is.
But
he plays. So playing from the post, right? Playing from the post is a lot different than playing from the top of the key, because when teams help at the boxes and elbows, he's making those shots to Chet, but he's also, number one, getting to the free throw line. He's playing faster.
He's scoring that thing.
He's scoring
that thing, and
he's getting to the free throw line.
And he's playing defense. Most importantly, Game 4 of the NBA Finals, OKC was on the road in that third quarter, about to go down 3-1. Nothing was going well for that team offensively. And SGA turned on the Jets and locked up defensively until he woke up in the fourth quarter. That's the fucking difference. We got to ask ourselves, can stars like Carmelo Anthony and Trae Young do the same?
It
doesn't matter.
Wait.
I'm also going to say this. He's won. So obviously, his shit works.
No,
it's different.
But the point is, you have to prove that your style of play can win.
Yeah.
And it's also determined by the players that you have around them. I would say that guys like Shea, Kevin Durant, they have had better teams historically than Carmelo has, right? But that still falls on, as we've been in locker rooms with Bron and Dirk, the best players know this is all on me.
And even though KD and SGA had better players than you would say Melo or even Trae Young, to a degree, there's no reason why your star is perceived as such a tier that your team is completely missing the playoffs or just completely getting bodied in the play-in. Again, there's levels to this. It's the way these guys are losing. Their seasons are not that far off from a bad team, let's say like the Washington Wizards, or even the Detroit Pistons when they were going through their woes, or even not far off from the not serious Charlotte Hornets. If you're Trae Young or even Carmelo Anthony, you shouldn't have multiple seasons ending no different than the LaMelo Charlotte Hornets.
Win and lose, everyone's going to look on me. So it's my job to prove that my style of play can win, right? And that's the part. Shea, Carmelo, exact same. They might have Kobe, Carmelo, exact same mindset style of player. Okay. They have to prove that they're 30 a night, they're 29 a night leads to wins. Shea did it. Shea was leading the league in scoring, like all the things. Like that's hard to do as a guard. Multiple years at that efficiency level.
And Kobe didn't really start doing that until after 2006. See, when Shaq first left, 2005, 2006, that's when he was beginning to learn how to frame his game as a leader and making sure that it results in a W. I believe that 2005 season, they finally let the leash off and, he kind of got free reins to go ham and just drop 81 points in a game, just take up a bunch of shots. But then after that 05 season, 06, 07, that's when you started to see the wheels turn as Kobe began to refine his game around the team concept. And in 08, 09, and 2010 is when you kind of seen everything come together in a perfect synergy, and it resulted in championship level basketball.
Right? Don't tell me about free throws. Carmelo was getting free throws. Everybody was. Kobe getting free throws. Shea proved that his 30 a game is a championship 30. There's been 4 guys in the last 30 years that have done that? I can average 30 in the season and go win a championship, win it.
Now, RJ, quick question for you. How many guys averaged 30 a game and it produced a losing season? I bet you there's 10 times more players versus the other way around that you just stated.
An MVP, that shit is different, bro, NBA history. Like, how many people have averaged 30 and won a championship? MJ, was he the last one? I don't know if Bron hit 30. I don't know if Kobe was averaging 30 during those 2 seasons that they won after Shaq. He might have been 28.
I think all 3 of those were like,
was 30.
3 was...
Well, I know. I'm saying I know he hit 30, but did he average 30 the season that they won those 2 championships?
I would say yes.
I would say no.
I would say no too. And also with LeBron going into Miami, Pat Riley actually honed his game in. He averaged less points, assists, and rebounds, I believe, in those Miami Heat years. You fellas could definitely look it up. His numbers were down from what he did in Cleveland. It's not only because he was playing alongside Dwayne Wade and Bosh, he actually had to play within a system in Miami. That's why there was so many clashes when he first got there with Eric Spoelstra, and also that meltdown that he had in the finals. He had to play within a frame, and that was not the case in Cleveland. He was sort of still playing that playground style basketball where everything was centered around him and what he could create out of playing in the wing in that point forward position.
I would say no. 30's a heavy number.
I think 3 of those were Jordan.
That's what I'm saying. 30 in a championship, bro?
No.
That's different world.
So the names of guys that hit 30 points per game and won a championship is Kareem, Rick Barry, Michael Jordan multiple years, and then SGA. So not even LeBron and Kobe made this list. That tells you how difficult it is. Remember, championship level basketball is a team game. And that right there is the major gap between NBA fan bases and this whole Trae Young versus Pat Bev debate.
Hang on though. Didn't they won a championship in 02-03?
Yeah, but he didn't average 30.
Yeah, he did.
Who, Kobe?
Yes.
Oh,
Double check. Keep going.
Wait, is it 2000? No, I'm sorry. They didn't win it in 03.
They lost. They lost.
01, 02.
Yeah.
So it was the year after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Perfect example right there, because sometimes there is a correlation of guys averaging too much points to win. And Charles Barkley once had made that reference about Luka when he was averaging, I believe, 36 points per game at a point when he was on the Mavericks. Charles Barkley's like, he's going to have to turn that down a notch and include his teammates in order to win. Kobe has said the same thing about James Harden. It was nice that he was killing it, averaging almost 35 points per game. But he's like, if he wants to win the finals, that play style won't end up working. And I believe Kobe Bryant was speaking like that out of personal experience. As we see, he went through the same thing in the 2003 season.
But that's what I'm saying. That's why I say Carmelo's a 30-point-a-game scorer. Kevin Durant, a 30-point-a-game scorer. Those guys are judged. James Harden, 30-point-a-game scorer. Those guys are judged differently, right? Like, that's why Bron only hit 30 a few times.
So what's the difference then?
What do you mean?
Like, what's the difference between Shea and Melo, other than their team? What do you think, like...
The eras are also different. Melo played in an era where the game was much slower and it was sort of worked in from the inside out. And now the game is just from the outside. Everybody's spread out on the floor and the pace is a lot faster. It's really the eras. Players like Allen Iverson, Carmelo Anthony, and just a lot of the heavy scorers of the early 2000s, they would have an easier time scoring today in their primes, but the only difference is they will be going up against multiple guys that are 6'8", 6'7", trying to defend them. That's really the only difference. And these guys are also skilled, so defensively, they would have to step up. You know, just having times on defense where they're sort of, you know, on easy mode, it would be hard to hide them. Guys like T-Mac and Melo especially.
I know, I just think...
Or you just think it's a team?
This is what I would say. I would say that Shea proves that his 30 a game is in a class of very few people. Carmelo is the same scoring legit, and don't get me wrong, Shea's even more efficient, but I don't think Carmelo had the teams around him. But in basketball hierarchy, what did you do with what you have? We criticized LeBron for going and losing to the finals and getting swept by the Spurs when he was in fucking year 23. We can't absolve Carmelo of the 30 points a game he scored, top 10 all time in scoring, and say, hey, what did you do with that 30 for your teams? And I'll give him some, like, his teams weren't great, but there were opportunities for him to go other places. He did have, like, again, in Denver teams. Yeah.
Also, we should give him a little bit more credit because he played in the most physical era of the NBA, which is, I would say, the late 90s, the early 2000s. The game was so physical that the final scores would be like 75 to like 70 or 69. And it was just not a good television product overall. It was just way too slow. Teams had way too many enforcers who didn't really have to have crazy skill sets. They just had to have brute and strength. And those days are pretty much over.
were balling.
That was my worst.
Yeah. So then you
You're
start
like,
looking
who?
at, okay, defensively, what was Carmelo defensively? Then you start looking at players in other spaces. So I just say the 30-point a game and win an MVP, you put yourself in the class of the Kobe's, of those, like there's very few people that have ever done it. We can't put Shea in the same category from like the winning standpoint as a team, but from a scorer, you got to prove.
And RJ nails it right on the head. As a scorer, the burden of proof is on you, and it's definitely on Trae Young to perhaps get his teammates more involved. And the Hawks personnel and coaching staff kind of has to hold him more accountable for his shot selection and just kind of adding more versatility to their offense with the three-point shooting. They don't have to chuck up as much. They can utilize more of the mid-range since everyone is so spaced out on the floor. The mid-range shot is actually perhaps more wide open than it's ever been. So hopefully this has been a healthy perspective on just some of the, I would say some of the gaps between this whole Trae Young and Pat Bev beef on social media, because you can see the two NBA fan bases colliding just at two different ideologies. The guys who appreciate the more individual game, just bringing up the points per game, who is Pat Bev to talk, and also the side of the NBA audience where they appreciate winning and they respect it a lot more. They're seeing way too many guys get the name of superstars, but yet they can't even make the play-in. So this will be a continuation of my series, When the Money is Worth the Headache, and this will be volume 3, as the NBA continues to intertwine themselves with gambling and just getting caught up in so many scandals, and the rabbit hole gets deep. As in this segment, we're going to get into it layer by layer. We're going to hear from the FBI director, Kash Patel, as well as Adam Silver going on the defense a few days earlier because he knew this was coming down the pipeline. We'll also hear from Michael Franzese of the Colombo family out in New York. His father was the underboss, and he was also an active mob member, and he kind of gave insight to how competitive athletes are really the perfect audience to get caught up in gambling debts and become the perfect victim for the mob to begin to set things up as far as their games. We'll also hear from former disgraced NBA referee Tim Donahue, as he gave great insight of how tied up the NBA is with this whole gambling situation. Even though for the most part, we got to watch what he says with a keen eye because he's not really as credible, but he gave great insight to how his situation was dealt with the NBA internally. And they have a lot of connections with the judges to kind of make things go under the rug a certain way. And finally, we'll get into the Klutch sports side, as we'll hear from a former NBA player of how LeBron's team really has a lot of deep reach. They have a lot of connections, as the Damian Jones portion of this whole scandal have many people wondering, why does a non-Laker employee have such insights to what's going on within the organization and how that ties back to Klutch Sports? So this is going to be multi-layered, but first we're going to start off with the FBI director Kash Patel from the Southern District of New York. As we always hear about that district loves high-profile cases, and they're very clout-chasing. And watch right here as the FBI director Kash Patel points out that quite a few people associated with the NBA is involved in this situation, and he even mentions the La Cosa Nostra, but yet we haven't heard any names tied into the mob actually being revealed. Ever since the late 80s, early 90s, a lot of mafia members, they end up snitching in jail. Let's keep it a buck. And it's not too far-fetched to believe that a lot of the mafia does have ties to federal government agencies. They're almost hand in hand. Once again, we only hear about NBA players' names. There has been no other mob members' names released. But you guys check out how the director of the FBI addressed the press and mainly framed it around the professional athletes / coaches or just personnel. Very interesting.
Good morning. Today we are here in New York to announce a historic arrest across a wide-sweeping criminal enterprise that envelops both the NBA and La Cosa Nostra. The men and women up here standing with me represent a small portion of the leadership team that brought profound justice in an era that needed it more than any. I'll just highlight some of the details in the case and the FBI work, and then you'll hear from the others. But as you now know, individuals such as Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today, former, current NBA players and coaches.
Now right there, notice how he's not going to mention anyone from the mob family, but initially he introduced it as the La Cosa Nostra and the NBA. And we all know some of these guys like Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier, they don't necessarily have the connections to start running a whole gambling ring. It's definitely not too far-fetched to believe the FBI and a lot of the La Cosa Nostra, as he made reference right here, are working together hand in hand.
What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing. Not only did we crack into the fraud that these perpetrators committed on the grand stage of the NBA, but we also entered and executed a system of justice against La Cosa Nostra to include the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese crime families.
But yet, start naming some of them specifically, start naming some of the members. We have not yet heard any names. And some of you fellas could comment below if there's an update or if you find any names, because I don't see any specific mob members' names tied into this case.
And you'll hear more about those details today. The charges and the arrests that were taken down across this country range from wire fraud, money laundering, extortion, robbery, illegal gambling. This FBI will leave no room for any perpetrator of crime across this country. You hear a lot about our work of defending the homeland and crushing violent crime. Well, this work is also representative of a colossal portion of the FBI's mandate to keep America safe and to keep our entertainment industry fair and secure. The men and women that are standing up here today worked tireless hours, days, months, and years. And the fraud is mind-boggling. It's not hundreds of dollars. It's not thousands of dollars. It's not tens of thousands of dollars. It's not even millions of dollars. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars in fraud and theft and robbery across a multi-year investigation.
And across many states, that sounds like well-connected people. This is where Adam Silver has to be careful with this marriage with gambling. Let's go back to his initial statement, the way it was introduced. It should have been the La Cosa Nostra has invaded some of the NBA players to widespread corruption. It should have been introduced like that, but he made it seem like some of the NBA affiliated people was in cahoots, as if they created a whole ecosystem of just mass corruption and just money laundering and racketeering, etc., etc.
Good morning. Today we are here in New York to announce a historic arrest across a wide-sweeping criminal enterprise that envelops both the NBA and La Cosa Nostra. But as you now know, individuals such as Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today, former, current NBA players and coaches. What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing. The charges and the arrests that were taken down across this country range from wire fraud, money laundering, extortion, robbery, illegal gambling.
Now, this is why I call this series When the Money's Worth the Headache. Because back in 2023, when this whole marriage between the NBA and the sports gambling books happened, New York State alone in the first quarter made $19 billion. Make no mistake about it, that $19 billion, not only the local state and the federal government is eating off that money, as well as the NBA and the casinos. And that's only in one quarter. But as the layers begin to peel back of this story, a lot of elements that was already sprinkled throughout the internet was already there in regards to NBA players being involved in some questionable gambling activities. As professional poker player Matt Berkley had talked about playing in a game with Chauncey Billups and how he already knew he was scamming, as the original podcast was posted back in 2023.
There are a lot of stories about it. There's one that cropped up. This must have been like 5 years ago, 2019-ish, I think, 4 years ago, where there was this game. It started in LA and then it came to Vegas for a few days, and it was all built around Chauncey Billups. And I had heard about the game, and the person who told me about it was like, "Look, I know the game runners. I'm telling you 100% this game is on the up and up." And I was like, "Well, I know a lot of the people that are involved, and I'm telling you 100% that it is not on the up and up."
Yeah.
And you know, we kind of went back and forth, and I agreed that like I just wasn't going to go play it, but I had some friends who went and played it both in LA and in Vegas, and it obviously like was for sure confirmed to be cheated. Like people who clearly didn't even understand the rules of no limit hold'em are just like jamming hundreds of big blinds in with like a gutty and then just drilling it. Only the pros are losing. Like
how is it figured out? Like it just
I can't remember if this was the game where
over the loudspeaker.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
That was Pierce.
Oh, okay. Well, it's still, I mean, it's not like Chauncey and Pierce don't know each other. You know, I feel like it's probably the same crowd overlapping there, but maybe not. Either way, it was, you know, it was basically confirmed amongst all of the pros that the game was cheated, but there's just no recourse.
Gotcha.
And you know, they got absolutely filleted.
Yeah, I mean, there's just no recourse in a lot of these situations.
Well, it's tough too whenever you're dealing with somebody like high profile like that, because they carry a lot of weight and hold a lot of power. So all you can do is like kind of unite together and threaten to publicly out him or extort him in some sort of capacity. In which case, you know, good luck.
Yeah.
It's like this guy beat rape charges. You think he cares about you calling him a cheater?
Yeah, I mean, and like from other aspects, like most people that are cheating, they come prepared for a situation when it does happen. So like, you know, you just can't really out them when they're there. You don't want to call it out in public. Like,
what was crazy to me is that that some of the guys that I'm friends with that played the game like kept going back, not fully convinced. Like, just like, these guys are so bad, man. They're so bad. It's like, yeah, they know what's fucking coming, man. Like, you don't have to be good if you can, you know the deck start to finish. It's like, of course they look bad. They're putting it in with no equity, knowing that they're going to win the fucking hand.
Yeah.
Pretty tough, you know?
Pretty interesting shit.
Now, I do have an example of one of the hands he was referring to, because when you look at it, it's some amateur shit when it comes to poker. First of all, Chauncey Billups was dealt a 5-6, and his opponent had a queen jack. And for those of you who are watching the visual version, I'll put something up. And the first three cards that came out was a jack 7-3. Then the fourth card that came out, which is a turn, was a queen. So Chauncey Billups' opponent had matching queen jacks, and he only had a 5-6. So he's shooting for the straight here. And the final card on the river was a 4, which gave Chauncey the straight. So for some of you that are not familiar with poker, for him to get a 4 and to chase that straight on the last card when he has a 5-6, and just his betting patterns by the pros watching him throughout the course of the cards coming out, they can tell if he's bullshitting, if he's an amateur, because eventually after the last card came out, they kind of remember his betting pattern, and that might not fit in with what a pro would have done. So right then and there, they could spot out that something is up. And if he wins multiple hands the same way, it's a kind of a dead giveaway. And Pat McAfee actually did a follow-up with Matt Berkeley, this professional poker player that had made this statement back in 2023. Again, we're leaving no receipts unturned. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
I watched your clip from 2023, and basically the way you were laying it out is as if you understood, or people that were playing in this particular game or these particular games know when it's rigged or when it's not rigged. How is that the case, and what have you heard about these particular poker games that maybe got them caught, if you will, Berkey, if that's a good enough question to kind of get started?
Yeah, sure. I don't want to lay it on the people who got taken for a ride in these games and make it seem like it was so obvious that they should have known. But it is one of those things where when you as a professional who don't really offer too much to a high-profile game like this that's being run around celebrities, get the invite, your radar should kind of go up. And this particular game, it was happening both in Los Angeles and in Las Vegas. I had gotten multiple invites, as well as a lot of friends who don't really have access to these sort of private games. And it just seemed quite suspicious to me. So I was lucky enough to pass. I had a lot of friends who lost, hundreds of thousands of dollars in these games just with the opportunity to play with a few celebrities. But yeah, once you get outside of the casino, the rules get bent quite a bit.
And the rules are for sure getting bent all over the place as the NBA is reconsidering the way injuries are reported ever since this scandal came out. But ironically, Adam Silver has sat down with Pat McAfee just 2 days before as he spoke about some of the nuances between the league and some of the gambling partners and some of the issues that have been going on. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
I like where your league's at. I assume you do as well. Now, the world that we're in is a little bit different than maybe 15, 20 years ago, especially with all eyes on the money side of things during these games. Go ahead, D-Butch.
Yeah, Adam, with the huge growth of the game and obviously growth of sports betting as well, I can't wait to put a 12-game team parlay together tonight. But how do you balance, I guess, protecting the integrity of the game? And how do you balance that with the growth and obviously the relationships that you have with these sports betting partners?
You know, interestingly enough, I think in the modern digital era, the choice is between legalized sports betting or illegal sports betting, not do you want sports betting or not. And so ultimately our view has been that since we know there's going to be enormous betting on sports out there, there always has been lots of illegal betting when I was younger, but it was much more difficult before the internet. You'd have to meet someone on the corner, or there were betting slips, things like that, or you had an old school bookie. Of course, now you can just bet on your phone. So on one hand, with this regulated structure of legalized betting, we can monitor it in ways that were unimaginable.
And you can also access the money in ways that was never done before. AKA, Adam Silver is just saying either way, the money's going to be made by someone. We might as well make it ourselves. And in a way, this corporatization of just gambling, it's never going to work because even the casinos out in Vegas, they're not directly involved with the underworld, but they do have connections where they can make a couple of phone calls and find out what's really happening. So that part of it has always been around and it's not going anywhere. It's almost like the strip clubs. You're going to find people who are scammers, drug dealers, pimps. The underworld it's all over that place. It's always around it. You may not see it directly, but it's lingering around in those places somewhere.
Years ago, that if there's any aberrational behavior, people betting large numbers who hadn't historically done so, just opening an account to place bets, or even the geo-targeting, we know exactly from where the bets are being placed. I mean, very specifically, if you're in an arena and place a bet, we know you're in the arena. In many cases, we know where in the arena you are when you place that bet. So sort of analogize to a stock market where there's, of course, there's a legal framework, but there's lines that make activity illegal, like insider trading, for example. And so you have potentially the equivalent in sports where somebody may have inside information. It could be a player, and the worst case scenario is a player who's trying to impact their own performance for a bet, or it may be people around a player, and it may be unintentional on the part of a player, but somebody who's around the player knows that the player isn't feeling well or isn't going to play, even though that hasn't been announced yet.
Now, again, remember, this is 2 days before the FBI released, the initial reporting on just Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier getting locked up. And it sounds like Adam Silver already knows what's coming down the pipeline because he's describing Damian Jones, who also got caught up in this scandal, as he knew certain information from LeBron as he didn't play a particular game. And Damian Jones, they do have evidence of him messaging other people to place bets. So Adam Silver right here is definitely trying to soften the blow as he's playing his cards ahead of schedule.
So, we have a framework, a structure in place to monitor, to prevent those kinds of things happening so that there is the information is available to potential bettors so that it's a level playing field in terms of placing those bets. But there's no question, it introduces a whole new set of issues. One of the issues you see in arenas, and I hear from players and coaches on this, are fans. Oh, yeah. I mean, who are yelling out about, especially when it's a prop bet. It's
my parlay! Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it's often the case that, your team wins and a player scores, 25 points, but the fan bettor had bet that the player was going to score 28 points or 30 points or whatever else. So I would say one thing, we sent a memo out to our teams recently, and we made it clear in conversations with them that we want to see strict enforcement of those rules. I mean, we have to protect the competitors. You know, we want to protect the environment in the arena of people getting out of hand. I mean, but as I said, we accept betting is legal in roughly 35 states now in the United States. It's unlikely to go away. I think probably there should be more regulation, frankly. It may be surprising to hear from me. I wish there was federal legislation rather than state by state. I think you got to monitor the amount of promotion, the amount of advertising around it. And also, we've pulled back. You know, it's not completely in our control, but we've asked some of our partners to pull back some of the prop bets, especially when they're on two-way players, guys who don't have the same stake in the competition, where, you know, it's too easy to manipulate something which seems otherwise small and inconsequential to the overall score.
AKA doing things like how Terry Rozier and Jonte Porter end up getting caught up with.
Maybe, you know, the couple rebounds that some player, you know, gets or whatever. So, you know, we're trying to put in place and learning as we go and working with the betting companies some additional controls to prevent sort of some of that manipulation. Well, you know, we deal obviously case by case with anything comes up, but I think we've made it clear to our players, and I think Andre Iguodala, who's head of the Player Association, you know, former All-Star champion himself, knows that there's nothing more important than the integrity of the competition. So if a player steps over the line, I mean, there have been players, I think, as you know, who've been banned from the game because of betting. We have, you know, we monitor really closely. There's signs in every locker room. You know, we have continuing education throughout the year, just so guys know that, you know, it's a really bright line. Because the problem with all those prop bets is that I always worry, you know, I'm sure there are players who would never ever think they would want to manipulate the ultimate outcome of the game. They wouldn't want to do that to their teammates. They wouldn't want to do it to themselves, but are thinking, oh, what's the difference if, you know, I've won fewer, more rebound or whatever else. So that's why, you know, we've made it clear there's very strict enforcement that anything you do around betting, you know, just the mere betting on a game, even if it had nothing to do with your particular performance, you know, will result in a suspension, you know, and possibly the end of your career. So, you know, again, we live in an environment of legalized sports betting. And by the way, not just in the United States, but the NBA is a global league. I mean, remember when sports betting was legalized in the United States, it was already for decades had been widely legal throughout Europe, betting parlors throughout London. Again, most of the action is now online, but that's actually a good thing that's online, because when people aren't using cash, you have to identify yourself to the betting company. You're putting in a credit card. And again, so if there's something unusual that's happening, or if somebody and there's a whole separate issue about problem gambling. So let's remove sort of irregular activity among participants in the game. But then there's people clearly who get sucked in and are betting too much money.
As gambling has always been a habit. No one gets rich off of gambling. It's really a fucking habit at the end of the day. And also all these sports betting books, they're working with third-party companies where they actually warn each of them when irregular betting happens, or certain accounts, how often you win. You may get different odds, or you may even get kicked off that platform. So just keep in mind, there is a control center to all this.
And or betting over their means. And so there's also ways to monitor those things and to cut those people off if the betting company detects that there's an issue.
Yeah, we had some friends that had that happen to them from Sportsbook. Looking at you again, Bruce. And looking at you again, Bruce. And we like that. You know, got him out of a potential spiral, though. And I agree that it has gotten to a much better place in the gambling world. But for you guys to have to navigate it, we're appreciative of the amount of thought that you put into it, because the integrity of the game is everything.
Yeah.
And that's what Adam Silver is doing this interview for, the integrity of the game before the feds fucking drop this major bombshell on the league.
What are we betting? What are we watching if we don't, you know, if we don't think that's a big deal?
And oddly enough, I mean, even the bettors want to be ensured that there's integrity behind the data, because if they think it's not a level playing field or somebody has information they don't, they won't bet your sport.
Yeah, they're on the take. Listen, if they're going to be on the take, I would like to know that they're on the take so we can do that, because then they feel like they're getting bamboozled. We appreciate that the NBA will continue to be a sport that we can all, you know, definitely know what's going on wherever we place our wagers on.
Now, as we know, there's multiple angles that this whole gambling situation is intertwined with the league, but they're reconsidering the way information kind of gets out as far as injuries right before the games, because they've kind of been a little loosey-goosey about it. They've been operating in a gray area around the injury reporting. Last minute guys completely get taken off the list, or last minute guys get put on the list and then they're out. So the league is kind of making alternative changes about that. But at the same time, Jaylen Brown from the Boston Celtics has spoke about how the league being intertwined with this whole gambling situation is going to cause them to get caught up in a lot of different things. And player safety is one of them, with guys getting angry about their parlay. And also former Cavaliers coach JB Bickerstaff, his family was threatened in their home about fans and their parlays.
I think be open to having a conversation. I don't think yet once from my conversations with the union as the NBA has been like, how can we protect players more with the environment? There's been little to no conversation around that. It's all about how can we increase business and increase revenue. And I'm not sure, if we're having enough conversations, like what is the aftermath or the consequences some of that stuff has. I think a lot more could have been done to help players or prepare players, but even in the aftermath, I don't think little care or attention to detail goes into it. They're like, you make X amount of money or X, Y, and Z, you should be able to deal with all the extra negativity, the people approaching you, is leading to situations that we can avoid if more conversations were had right now.
Again, when the money is worth the headache, certain things are getting overlooked. But now we're going to hear from a former top-level ranking mob member, Michael Francis of the Colombo family out in New York. And he's son of the former underboss, Sonny Francis. Like many other mob members, he got caught up. He did some Fed time for about 4 years. And a lot of these guys, I'm not sure about him per se, but a lot of these guys, I don't want to say necessarily turn snitch, but they sort of, they've entered the media space. Whether they started their own companies or they hopped on other large platforms and they kind of told their stories. They cashed in the whole aura of just the mob life. And in a way, it's sort of self-snitching as they reveal a lot of the inner nuances and a lot of the dynamics that played out. But right here, Michael Francis gives great insight to how this underworld kind of reels former athletes and current day athletes in with their addiction of competition. And once they get into debts, they kind of lure them into this spider web where they really can't get out of, and they might even have to end up fixing certain outcomes of a couple of games. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
I had 12 or 13 bookmakers working for me at that time. And so obviously I knew a lot of athletes get in trouble all the time, with respect to gambling. It happens. I don't like to throw a wide net over everybody, but listen, you got to understand with athletes, gambling is an extension of their competitiveness. They raise the stakes when they gamble. And this is what happens. Many of them get in trouble, whether they be in pros or in college, but it's been happening and it will continue to happen. Now, 4 of the 5 New York families were involved in this investigation. It just broke this morning. And, oddly enough, the Colombos, my former associates, my former family, they weren't involved. So either they were smart and didn't get themselves in trouble, or somehow they're missing the boat. I don't know.
Or somehow they might be working with the feds on another case. Let's not get it twisted.
I don't know what it is, but let's get into this a little bit. Give you an example. Back in my day, NFL player, right? And this happened. I'm not going to mention the names. More than once, but this happened. Bookmaker working with me, he comes to me, hey, this player from the Jets, he's into me really heavy. He owes me 50 grand. Okay, what do you want to do? Should I bring him to you? How should I collect? 50 grand? Let him get into you for 250 grand, 300 grand. What are you doing? You're writing an entry on a piece of paper. It's not costing you a penny. He's a bad gambler. Let him get into you heavy and then bring him to me. Boom. Before you know it, he's into me $250,000, $300,000, right? I bring him to me. Sit down. Hey, how you doing? Good. You owe me a lot of money. Oh, you didn't know it was me? Sorry, yeah, we don't always put that out there, but it's me. You owe me a lot of money. How you going to pay? You got to pay. You got to figure it out. I'll tell you what. You know what? I love your team. I like the way you play. I'm going to give you a break. You owe me $250,000, right? You don't have to pay me right away. You pay me 2% a week in cash. When do you get paid? Every Monday you be here with the cash. Don't miss. Don't miss. And I'll let you slide for a while. I don't care. That's fine with me. He wants to do anything to get out of the room. He leaves. What do we find out? We're tracking a guy. He goes to another bookmaker somewhere else, right? And he's trying to make up the loss by betting somewhere else. Well, we all know what's going on. So pretty soon, he can't even pay me the 2%. We call him back in the room. Hey, let me explain something to you, my friend. You don't get away with a gambling debt. You got to pay me. You got a rich uncle. You got a godfather. Who would it? Go rob a bank. I don't care what you do, but you're going to pay me. That's it. Well, Michael, let me tell you that. For some reason, I got a soft spot with you. I don't know why. So here's what we're going to do. You're a good running back, right? Yeah. All right. First 3 times next game, you put the ball on the ground. What? You heard what I said. Put the ball on the ground. First 3 times. You're a wide receiver? Okay. Make sure that that ball doesn't go into your hands. That's it. You're a quarterback? First 3 times you get the ball, put it in the other team's hands. I'll worry about the rest. I'm getting an edge now. I know what to do. You're going to do this over a period of whatever amount of games I tell you, and that's how we're going to even up the score. And if you don't do it, you don't want to know what happens at that point. I think you understand where I'm coming from. That's it. Very powerful. That's how you get these players to work with you. NBA player, the same thing. I don't care what you do. Foul yourself out of the game. Do whatever. Referee, same thing.
The human element is something that Adam Silver, as well as the other board members of the NBA, the other governors, the other owners, they got to take that into consideration with this marriage to gambling. Because when guys get in debt, God knows what they're going to be willing to do. Look at Terry Rozier. Come to find out, he owes the IRS over $8 million. Also, Jonte Porter, he had issues with debt. So he was trying to pay some of it back with the way he was kind of fixing his parlays. So you see the pattern. The same thing would apply to Malik Beasley. He's having issues with being in debt. The human element is a bitch, but once again, when the money is worth the headache, and I'm wondering how big of a headache the NBA is willing to have to keep collecting that money. And speaking of headaches, former disgraced NBA referee Tim Donahue gave great insight to his situation, because whatever he says, we should always look at it with a keen eye, because he's not really as credible. But when he talks about his personal situation and the way the league went about it, this is interesting, the insight that he gave. You guys check it out.
That they need to get gambling under control, and I think that he's going to continue to try to figure out a way to put a lid on this, but it's going to be very difficult for him, because I think this is widespread. I think it's going to be very damaging to the league. And, I just received a text message from one of the FBI agents that worked my case, and he basically said that they're not going to be able to cover this up like they covered up my case. I think the David Stern was able to basically put a lid on it and paint me as one bad apple, the only guy involved, and nobody else did anything but me. And
that sounds very familiar, the way he handled the Malice in the Palace. As we all eventually found out that from the legal side, it was found that most of the players involved in the melee, they were actually not at fault. The arena did not hire enough security, and the players were actually under major duress, especially Jermaine O'Neal. He took the league all the way to court. But at the time, David Stern was trying to make examples of certain players, as he was trying to craft the league's image away from a lot of the early 2000s, I would say, thugged out hip hop. The Allen Iverson effect. He was trying to get rid of that aura, the dress code. And remember, the NBA around that time, they did not have the TV money that they have now. So sometimes guys get caught up with talking bad about David Stern implementing that rule. But now we see the fruits of that labor with the league just keep getting larger and larger deals, because them corporate sponsors are not going to support the league if they present a certain aura. And we could see it play out no further than just social media in general. Everyone that's getting advertisements or just any kind of brand deals, they have to put up a certain image. They can't talk about certain topics. So the NBA was under the same type of microscope if they want to keep getting the bigger and bigger deals.
We're going to move on from it. The FBI said that there was 6 or 7 other people that they wanted to indict, and this got shut down from the highest level. And then I find out, after I go to jail, that, a guy by the name of Greg Andres, who was the head of the Eastern District of New York, took a job at a law firm and all of a sudden got all the outside legal counsel work for the NBA. So, it was a situation where David Stern really ran that whole investigation, and it got shut down by the, highest level people in regard to other people being involved.
Hey, my man David Stern ruled the NBA with an iron fist. Hey, he played his cards right. At the end of the day, Tim Donahue should have never been in that situation to begin with, completely compromising the credibility of the NBA. But this time around, Adam Silver is dealing with social media, and we are in the informational age. So finessing out of situations like that is going to be very hard to come by. Even right now, he's trying to tap dance his way out of the Steve Ballmer situation, even though on paper, this looks like it could be over a $500 million cap circumvention. Like, he spent $500 million just to pay Kawhi a couple $100 million. So you got independent creators like Pablo Torre taking advantage of the media landscape, being able to publish that and broadcast it to a mass audience. And that's something that wasn't available before when David Stern was dealing with the league and the Tim Donahue gambling situation. And last but not least, there is a Klutch sports dynamic to this whole situation, as people are questioning why Damian Jones was not necessarily part of the Lakers, but was still getting inside information in regards to the team. Now, LeBron James and Klutch Sports are a very powerful organization, make no mistake about it, because they even got Damian Jones a job on ESPN, where he was actually crafting LeBron's image, speaking very highly of him and just defending all the naysayers on First Take. Even when Darvin Ham was hired as the Lakers coach, we come to find out it's almost as if it was forced, but Damian Jones was kind of pointed to be one of the advisors on the team, even though they have no prior relationship. And Chauncey Billups, after being arrested, was wearing a Klutch Sports shirt. I'm wondering, what is he trying to bat signal to the viewing audience or even LeBron James himself? And Jeff Teague right here gives us great insight to how powerful LeBron James and Klutch Sports are. Keep in mind, LeBron is backed up by the NBA, Nike, Warner Brothers, the parent company of TNT, and also an outside company out in London that's responsible for major Hollywood productions. Anytime you see these highly produced late night shows or even certain movies, the same company, I believe, is Fullwell 73. You fellas can go ahead and look that up. It's a pretty powerful production company. That's really what makes LeBron James the GOAT. It's an off the court thing. The way he's handled his business, put his friends in proper position, the way he's aligned himself to make money even after he leaves the game. It's really something worth truly to be said. It's something that he doesn't get enough credit for. But you guys check out what Jeff Teague had to say about LeBron's powerful backers. And every once in a while, I'll check in.
But bro, the moment I said anything, anytime you say anything about Bron, people call you and say, hey man, you might want to chill. I know you got some funny stories and shit. Hey, leave LeBron alone. I'm like, God damn.
Okay.
I came on here and apologized. Sorry. I'm talking these some real people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, nigga. You funny, nigga. And you getting a little too funny. All right, my fault, brother. So I know ain't nothing getting by they whole camp. They run the league. They whole camp run the league.
Yeah, bro. They too plugged in. For not somebody not to know an inkling or something. I ain't saying they do an all-out play. I just feel like somebody, bro. If not, then that's one of the most
Rich Paul, AD agent.
Yeah. That's one of the most covert operations in NBA history.
You gotta know.
Covert, get the fuck out of here. This shit's been fairly obvious for years. Even the way AD went to the Lakers. I'm surprised other teams ain't called for an investigation for player tampering. Get out of here, man. Come on. What are we talking about here? It's fairly obvious. LeBron went to LA and LA became Klutch Sports Central.
Somebody knew something. I don't know who, what, but somebody knew something. Even if they didn't know it was going to happen, when, what, where, why, somebody knew something, bro.
It looks like Damian Jones fucked up. He got some inside information, and the feds got the text and everything. Him saying, you know, to place bets, LeBron is not playing, he's out sick. And even one time he tried to do it again, and it didn't work. The Lakers end up winning, or the bet didn't go the gambler's way, and then he end up telling them, hey, you win some, you lose some. So it is what it is. The NBA hasn't reached that point where they need enough Tylenols, because the money is definitely worth the headache. So that's all I have for today. You fellas definitely hit up the link in the description below. Check out the NBA True Stories playlist and also my NBA Hardwood Nuance playlist. There's definitely a lot of dope stuff in there. And until next time, you fellas stay safe. Peace.